Many generations ago, the warrior Apuena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solana Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apuena, returns to a beautiful, mysterious woman. Past.
Stella, me diz a verdade, seja ela qual for.
And her destiny is to fulfill the curse.
Acredita em mim, eu não queria amar o branco que a nossa gente marcou pra morrer.
Destiny River.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Lwakubiri ennaku z'omwezi ziri bbiri olunaku lwakubiri olw'omwezi ogwokusatu mbaniriza nnyo eno ye NTV ku ssaawa emu nange Farida Nakazibwe katusooke tulabe ebikulu ebigirimu.
Tolikira kotode yaga nti Lukwago ye road mayor oba mwagala oba temwagala.
Emivuyo mu KCCA, Minister Frank Tumwebaze ayise bakansala okuteesa ku nsonga za Kampala. Lord Mayor kaatiriza olukiiko terusobola kutuula nga siriiwo.
Abo abateewandiisa kiba kikulaga nti bo tebaagala kukolerawa baali tebaagala kukolera mu kibuga era tetujja basembeza.
KCCA etandika nkya okugaba stage ne uniform z'aba boda boda be yawandiisa gye buvuddeko. Yo namba ya simu ey'obwerere eyambyeko okubunyisa obubaka ku kawuka ka Mukenenya abagikozesa beeyongedde. Songa abakugu balabudde ku ccupa abaana abato ze banywerako ze zivaako okuvunda amannyo. Okola kyatendo okwekomera ku NTV katugende butereevu tutandise n'okusatira okuzeemu nate mu kitongole ki KCCA. Minisita wa Kampala Frank Tumwebaze bwayise bakansala okubaawo bwayise bakansala nsonyiweko katono okubawa ebiragiro kwe bagenda okutambuliza emirimu nga bwe balinda okuvunuka emivuyo egyetoolodde office ya Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago n'omumyuka we bamwanukudde dda ku lukiiko lwayise bagamba nti luyinza okuvaako kye bayise okuyisa olugaayo mu ssemateeka ne kkooti.
Oluvannyuma lw'emyezi ena bukyanga minisita wa Kampala ne bakansala batuuza lukiiko olwayise ekiragiro ekyajjamu Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago obwesige kyaddaaki minisita Tumwebaze ayise bakansala bano mu lukiiko okubawa ebiragiro ku ngeri gye bagenda okutambuzaamu emirimu gya KCCA.
Olukiiko si lwa authority nga minisita w'e Kampala mpisa olukiiko lw'okwebuuza n'okuwabula bakansala abo bwe balina kukola emirimu gyabwe kati okimanyi Lord Mayor taliiwo
yadde ng'olunaku ku banasisinkanira lubadde terunamanyika. Olwaleero minisita tumwebaza tutegeezezza ku simu nga bw'agenda okusisinkana bakansala bano ku lunaku lw'Olwokubiri.
N'okubabuuza ebirowoozo byabwe ebirala, waliwo ebintu bingi bye tutambuza ng'ebyokukyusa etteeka erya KCC njagala tuwulire bo nga bamu ku bakulembeze boogera ki. So olukulu ate olukiiko tuluyita consultative meeting.
Okusinziira ku tteeka lya KCCA, enkiiko zonna ezitambuza emirimu kitongole kino zirina kuyitibwa Lord Mayor oba omumyuka we, era nga y'omumyuka wa Lukwago ensonga zino azogerako bw'ati.
Ofiisi zombi eya Lord Mayor n'eya Deputy Lord Mayor bwe twogera kati kitwandiise embattled. Ofiisi gye basobola okuteekako embeera ey'okubeera nti neri mu kaseera akatetegereka ya ofiisi ya Deputy Lord Mayor. Attorney General yawandiika ekitongole n'akitegeeza nti no Deputy Lord Mayor wa Kampala mu kibuga waali ekyobutamusasula eyo ensonga ndala. Naye kati wetwogerera bataddewo ekifaananyi nti ofiisi zombi zonna teziriwo mu kibuga Kampala, teziriwo mu Kampala.
Sulaiman Kidandala agamba nti okusinziira ku tteeka minisita talina buyinza busaawo bukiiko bukola mirimu okuggyako nga bayise mu lukiiko olukubirizibwa Lord Mayor.
Naye ate talina buyinza bukyusa tteeka lifuga Kampala. Mu kiwandiiko minisita kye yafulumizza alinga kumpi kati awandiika etteeka eppya erifuga Kampala. Yaggyewo sisitimu yonna tulina okuba nga tutambuliza emirimu gya KCCA n'ateekawo sisitimu empya. Minisita kyakoze ataddewo bwe twandiise obukundi bwe yayise working groups bube nga budda mu kifo kya committees eziri mu tteeka.
Ye Lord Mayor agamba nti bino byonna ebikolebwa bya kumala biseera kubanga tumwebaza kimanyi bulungi nnyo nti Lukwago akyaliwo okusinziira ku kiragiro kya kooti.
Tebalina byonna bajja kutagala bagende wano bagende wali. End result eri egi entebe ya Lord Mayor, entebe y'omuloodi tebajja kugitwala, tebalina gye bagiraza. So ebyo byonna baddembe bikola. Mwami Frank oli baddembe genda maaso okole by'oyagala.
Lukwago era agamba nti ng'ennaku z'omwezi 2 omwezi guno bagenda kuddayo mu kooti okuvunaana minisita wa Kampala ne banne olw'okunyomola ekiragiro kya kooti.
Warrant of arrest. Abantu abo Mwami Frank tumwebaza. So atwongedde obujulizi obulaga obunyoomi bwa court order. So ekiwandiiko ekyo nakyo kigenda yewa Justice Nyanzi ng'ennaku z'omwezi 2 era Mwami Frank tumwebaza ajja kujja akyogerera.
Deni Lobo Sava, NTV kusawe.
Webale nnyo Den Lubowa Sava. Mawulire amalala, ekitongole ki Kampala Capital City Authority kiri mu kuwumbawumba nteekateeka mpya mu kulungamya omulimu gwa bodaboda mu kibuga ekikulu. KCC yegamba nti waliwo stage ezigenda okuvaawo so nga buli wa bodaboda wakwambala uniform era nga wakoleranga mu ggombolola mwokka mwe yawandiikibwa. Enteekateeka eno etandika mwezi guno ogwokusatu ogwatandise eggulo.
KCCA yawandiisa bodaboda eziriyo mu mitwalo 6 okutuusa mu mwezi gw'e10 omwaka oguwedde era ng'ezo zegenda okuteekerateekera. Kino kitegeeza nti abateewandiisa bubakeeredde.
Abo abateewandiisa kiba kikulaga nti bo tebaayagala kukolerawa, baali tebaagala kukolera mu kibuga era tetujja basembeza.
Nga bwe kyategeezebwa mu kiseera ky'okuwandiika bodaboda, bonna abazivuga bakuba n'obujaketi bukamyansoko n'ebikofiira bikatamu nga buli division ya Kampala ejja kuba ne langi yaayo.
Buli piki erina okubeerako ennamba era ng'ennamba eyo yeri ku reflector jacket ate nga yeri ne ku helmet.
Abakulu mu KCCA batutegeezezza nti enteekateeka eno nnamutayiika etandika mu mwezi guno ogwokusatu. KCCA ekolaganidde wamu n'ebitongole ebirala naddala poliisi n'ekitongole ky'eggwanga ekiwooza okulaba nga ababodaboda bakwasibwa empisa n'amateeka nga balina okuba ne pamiti ezibakkiriza okuvuga pikipiki nga balamu bulungi nga pikipiki baaziwandiisa era nga baazigula mu bulambulukufu ne basasula n'emisolo. Okuva KCCA lwe yalangirira okuwandiisa bodaboda waliwo bangi abaakiwakanya naddala nga beekwasa ensonga z'ebyobufuzi ate nga kirabika tewali kikyuse nnyo. KCCA ne ku mulundi guno yandifuna obuzibu bwe bumu.
Politics abeeramu naye nga tufubye nnyo okulaba nti tetuwaba titusigala ku mulamwa okukola ekyo kye tulina okukola ffe nga batekiniko.
KCCA engeri gye yawandiisa bodaboda mu kifo ky'abavuzi yandizibuwalirwa kuba pikipiki nnyingi zivugibwa abantu ab'enjawulo ate nga waliwo n'ezaatundibwa. Engeri aba KCCA gye batali beetegefu kuwandiika abaajeema so nga n'abamu ku beewandiisa bandigobebwa mu kibuga olw'omujjuzo. Ababodaboda bangi bandiwakanya enteekateeka empya. oluvannyuma lw'okutereeza omulimu gwa bodaboda mu Kampala, KCCA eteekateeka okubasasuza omutemwa gw'ensimbi buli mwezi okufaananako ne bannaabwe aba takisi. Aba bodaboda mu Kampala nga bangi ku bo tebanywa guteeka baategeeza dda nti si baakusasula KCCA yadde ennusu nga kyandyetaagisa okubakwasa omukono ogw'ekyuma nga bwe gwali ku batakisi. Abamu ku babodaboda bagamba nti balina akakwate ku byokwerinda by'eggwanga nga kigambibwa nti bangi babeera ne bubasitoola mu bikooti byabwe. Okutwaliza awamu, KCCA erina kwesiba bbiri okutereeza bodaboda nga bweruubirira. Honest Wisdom Kiyonga, NTV ku ssaawa emu.
NTV ku ssaawa emu. Bw'oba olina essimu ng'eriko omuliro naye nga tekuli airtime ate ng'otya okwogera n'omuntu yenna ku bikwatagana ne Mukenenya, manya nti waliwo essimu ey'obwereere eyateekebwawo okubudaabuda ssaako okufunirako amawulire ku kulwanyisa Mukenenya. Omusasi waffe Florence Naluyimba agamba nti abantu abeeyambisa essimu eno bagenze beeyongera obungi.
Essimu eno okukuba kiraga nti wano omuntu eyeetaaga okumanya ebikwatagana ku bulwadde bwa Mukenenya yakuba.
Abamu baagala okumanya oba tusobola okubakolako ate ng'abalala batubuuza wawe basobola okufuna obuyambi ng'eddagala.
Karegeya nga kansala w'abalwadde ba Mukenenya n'abatali balwadde era tutegeezezza nga n'abaagala okwekebeza Mukenenya bwe bakuba essimu eno okumanya wa we basobola okwekebereza.
And the good thing about this is clients don't walk.
Ekirungi mu kino kiri nti tebatambula. Oli kasita charging essimu talina kweraliikirira yadde ka airtime.
Enkola eno eya Support on AIDS and Life through Telephone Helpline SALT yagendererwamu okuyamba abantu abasosolebwa naddala singa kizuulibwa nti balwadde ba Mukenenya. Yadde nga Uganda lirimu ku mawanga agakyasinze okukola obulungi mu kulwanyisa Mukenenya, alipoota y'ekibiina ky'abantu abalina Mukenenya mu Uganda NAFOPAN ekikuira SALT eraga nga okusosola abalwadde ba Mukenenya bukugenda kweyongera mu ggwanga.
And the health workers, please, if you find like you don't have enough time,
n'abasawo bw'olaba nga tolina budde bwa kwogera n'abantu bano bawe ennamba ya toll free ffe twogere nabo.
Era tutegeezezza nga abakuba essimu eno mu lunaku olumu bwe bawerera ddala 48.
we cancel you on phone.
Grace Namulinga naye kansala agamba nti okusoomoozebwa okusinga kwe kw'abantu ab'ennimi ez'enjawulo okukuba essimu.
For this one,
naye munnange amanye ezisinga eza Western Uganda ng'Olunyankole ssaako Oluganda n'Oluzungu, nange njogera nabo mu Luganda n'Oluzungu.
Namuli agamba nti oluusi bayita asikaali n'abayambako okukyusa ennimi naddala ez'omu mambuka g'eggwanga. Bakubye omulanga eri abali eyo nga batya okugenda mu ddwaliro oba okwogera n'ababali okumpi ku nsonga za Mukenenya okweyambisa essimu eno ey'obwereere. Florence Alimba, NTV ku ssaawa emu.
NTV ku ssaawa emu webale nnyo Florence Naluyimba. Emirundi mingi tulowooza nti okuvunda amannyo mu baana kuleetebwa okulya swiiti n'ebintu ebirala ebiwoomerera. Ekyo kituufu, naye obadde omanyi nti n'eccupa oba ennywanto abaana kwe banywera nazo zandiviirako amannyo g'omwana okuvunda. Abakugu mu by'amannyo bagamba nti omwana okunywera ku ccupa naddala mu budde obw'ekiro kyandimuviirako okusiirira amannyo.
Yadde nga amannyo g'omwana we agasooka gaba gakaseera buseera, ekyo tekitegeeza nti tegalina mugaso. Omwana ageetaaga okulya ko n'emigaso emirala. Kyokka abaana bangi bavunda amannyo amangu ddala nga gakavaayo, era abazadde ne babatangira okulya ebintu ebirimu sukaali omungi, gamba nga buswiiti ne biskwiti. Dr. Ntwatwalule, omusawo w'amannyo mu Kampala, agamba nti waliwo abazadde bingi bye babuusa amaaso.
Ennywanto waliwo n'akakopo akaliko akasaanikira n'obutuli obwo butono. Obukopo obwo bubi nnyo era buleetera amannyo g'omwana okuvunda amangu ku sipiidi.
Eccupa n'obukopo buno bweyambisibwa nnyo abazadde okwebakiriza abaana oba ng'ekyokuzannyisa babatangira okukaaba.
N'olyoka omugaa nti kwakka akacupa osirike ateeka ku mumwa nga bw'anywa nga bweyebaka.
Kyokka ebikwata ku nkola y'omubiri biraga ng'omuntu yenna bwe yeebaka akamwa kalekerawo okufulumya amalusu. Dr. Lule annyonnyola nti omuntu yenna bw'aba anywedde ekintu kitwala eddakiika nga 20 amalusu agajja mu kamwa okuwozaawo kyanywedde okuggwamu.
N'anywa n'alyoka yeebaka, kitegeeza nti amalusu agandibadde gooza mu kamwa tegaliiwo, byonna bisigalamu. Kitegeeza nti sukaali oyo gw'obadde omuwadde ajja kusigala ku mannyo ekiro kyonna.
Nkimanyiiko nti amata bw'ogaleka mukama k'omwana ng'agenda okwebaka kimulwaza, kiyinza okumulwaza amannyo, naye ebiseera ebimu abaana bano bakalubamu okubatwala okwebaka, so n'owalirizibwa okumuteeka eccupa ye mu kamwa asobole okwebaka.
Okuvunda kuno kutera kukosa mannyo ga maaso aga waggulu, naye era n'amalala gonna gakwatibwa obuwuka nga busaasaana. Omwana gy'akomye okuba n'ebiwoomerera mu kamwa, gy'akomye okubeera ku bulabe obw'okusiirira amannyo.
Kireetera amannyo gonna okwononeka ne mujjamu ebituli ne gasiirira gonna. Olwa asidi oli ava mu buwuka nga obugasse ne sukaali.
Omusawo ono era alabula nti n'abanyweseza abaana ku ccupa mu budde obw'emisana tebeeyibaala. Gano ge magezi abasawo ge bawa okwewala okuvunda kw'amannyo mu bato. Weewala okuwanyisiganya amalusugo n'ag'omwana, gamba ng'okukomba ku kijiiko oba ennywanto kwanywera. Buli lw'omala okunywesa omwana musiimuula ebibuno n'akawero akayonjo akanyikiddwa mu tuzo otuyonjo. Omwana bw'amera amannyo ne gafulumayo, gasenye n'akasenya k'abato wamu n'amazzi n'obwegendereza. Bw'oba omunywesa ku ccupa, teekamu mata oba mabeere gokka. Weewala okussaamu ebyokunywa nga sooda, juyisi n'ebirala ebimu sukaali omungi. Fuba okulaba ng'omwana amalawo okunywa nga tanneebaka, tomuganya kwebaka na ccupa. Yigiriza omuto okunywera kakopo nga tannaweza mwaka gumu. Gertrude Tumusiime Uitware, NTV.
Ewale nnyo Gertrude Tumusiime Uitware. NTV ku ssaawa emu ekyagenda mu maaso eddakiika ziringa 12 eziyiseeko katuwummulemu katono. Bino bye bimu ku biri mu kitundu ekyokubiri. Emityana, Semaka ne bakyala be 3 bakwatiddwa nga babba amatooke ku muliraano. Ssentebe w'ekyalo abaweeweenyudde embooko. Mu kitundu ekyokubiri ku nfa y'omusuubuzi Wilberforce Wamala, tosubwa omusiizi wa langi eyayogera abatta na kiki ekyaddirira. Tukomawo.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apuena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solana Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apuena, returns to a beautiful, mysterious woman.
Stella, me diz a verdade, seja ela qual for.
And her destiny is to fulfill the curse.
Acredita em mim, eu não queria amar o branco que a nossa gente marcou pra morrer.
Destiny River.
NTV ku ssaawa emu kibadde kijjobe ku kereziya ya Holy Rosary mu kitundu kya Peche Lukung eggulu. Abaagalana babiri nga bombi balina obulemu bwe babadde beefunira obufumbo obutukuvu. Bano bakubye ebiragaano byabwe okwagalana okutuusa okufa lwe kulibaawukanya. Omukyala Esther Tim abadde mu kagaali ebiragaano abikubye ne munne Milton Obote nga Father Sebastian Odong yabagase.
This is wonderful.
Bannaffe Esther ne Milton tubayizayeza okutuuka ku bufumbo obutukuvu okuvaako Emityana Semaka ne mukyala we ne bakyala be basatu abagenza okubba amatooke mu nnimiro ya mutuze munnaabwe bagudde ku kyokya bwe bakwatiddwa Lubona. Bano babaligise emigoba nte saako okubatikka ebizibiti bye basangiddwa nabyo wakati mu kusaakaanya kw'abatuze bannaabwe ababadde babakuba olube.
Salongo Habati Ndabalamiye Yesemaka yasitudde bakyala be basatu okuli Nalongo Ruth Zizite, Margaret Nsuti ne Oliver Mbabazi ne bagenda okubba amatooke.
Sibanganako lwaki wabbi? Sibanganako lwaki wabbi? Muna accident. Lwaki tokola n'osalawo kubba buba?
Nze nkola era n'obusente bwange ebiseera ebisinga bikasana akamala omuntu.
Kadala ettooke lye bakutte nalyo.
Ono yali bbera nga ndyetikka.
Bano abakwatiddwa Lubona bakukyalo bulamu omugombola y'Ebulera Emityana nga basangiddwa mu lusuku lwa Ssaamu Lugoloobe. Mu kusooka Saalongo ne bakyala ba basatu olwawulidde enduulu ne baagala okudduka wabula batuuze ne basobola okubakwata.
Ababbi mbatwale poliisi.
Nyini mmere talina wajja kufunira nga babatadde buti.
Bano baweereddwa ekibonerezo kya kuba miggo era ssentebe w'ekyawo teyaludde n'asowolayo omutaka w'Embuya Kaggo gwe wamemba okwo n'ennyuka. Bwe gwandibadde Semaka Saalongo gwe basookeddeko nga bakyala be be baakubye oluvannyuma batunula. Wabula oluvannyuma ssentebe yabaddiddemu olwo ne batwalibwa ku poliisi nga beetisse ebizibiti.
NTV akawungezi ekizibu ky'envunza kireetedde abaana okudduka mu masomero e Namayingo. Abamu ku baana bano batya bayizi bannaabwe okubayeeya olw'okuba n'envunza so nga abalala tezibakkiriza kukkalira mu kibiina olw'obulumi n'okusiyibwa. Amasomero ga gavumenti ge gasinze okukosebwa naddala ago agali mu nteekateeka eya bonna basome, wabula tukulabula ggwe ow'emmeeme entono nti ebimu ku bifaananyi bino byesisiwaza.
Abaana ebitundu ebisoba mu 9 ku buli 100 mu ssomero lya Bulamba Primary School mu Namayingo Town Council balumiddwa ekibambulira ky'envunza. Abaana bano envunza zibalidde ebigere, emikono okutuuka ne ku bitundu by'ekyama nga ku butuuliro. Bano kati tebakyasobola kutambula bulungi nga bagenda ku ssomero ekibayetedde n'okukola obubi mu misomo gyabwe.
There was one people with jiggers all over, even up to the elbow. You can see them like cowpeas under the skin.
Abamu ku b'omutindo gw'emisomo gyabwe guserebye nga kigambibwa nti kaluma nywera ava ku nvunza.
These children who have a problem with the jiggers are not allowed to move freely to these places, and hence it leads to dropout rate to increase.
Abasomesa ekizibu bakitadde ku bazadde be bagamba nti baganya okwanukula omulanga gwe bakubidde ku nsonga eno.
Butanafu olina envunza ekikoba bayino tibanaaba
aliwa ono mulenzi anaaba.
And the problem of the jiggers is emanating from the homes they come from. They have a very funny belief that, you know, jiggers come from ant hills, that they fly like grasshoppers. Then others have a very bad belief and a very funny belief. They claim that the more jiggers you have, the more wealth you will have in the future.
RDC wa Namayingo Pimbaza Ashaka akakasiza nti ekizibu ky'envunza tekiri ku ssomero lino lyokka wabula mu masomero amalala mu district eno.
So if in the town council they have jiggers, that means in the rural areas it is worse. Because I've been to schools like Budidi Primary School, Bunyika Primary School, Bulamba Primary School, and the Bubango Primary School. And all these schools, when I go, I find that the children have jiggers.
Abakulira district ye Namayingo basizeewo okutandika kaweefube okulaba nga basomesa abatuuze okulwanyisa ssaako n'okwewala ekizibu ky'envunza era nga batandise n'okuteekawo akakiiko ak'okuddukanya omulimu guno.
Mu kitundu ekyokubiri ku kunoonyereza ku nfa y'omusuubuzi Wilberforce Wamala katukulambululire agambibwa okwenyigira mu kutta omusajja ono gye yakwatibwamu naye oluvannyuma n'asangibwa ng'afiiridde mu kaduukulu ka poliisi. Omu ku bannamwandu b'omugenzi Wamala alumiriza mujja we okubaako ne kyamanyi ku nfa eno n'ekigendererwa eky'okweddiza ebintu.
Kunoonya mazima n'obwenkanya ku nfa y'omugenzi Wilberforce Wamala mu kitundu kyaffe ekyokubiri tukutuusaako engeri olukwe lw'okumutta gye lwalukibwamu n'abaani abagambibwa nti be bakikola. Namwandu w'omugenzi Wilberforce Wamala yakozesa abakessi ne batandika okufeffetta abeenyigira mu ttemu lino. Asimu Sali yali omusizi wa langi mu maka g'omugenzi Mutungo agambibwa nti yali alina kyamanyi ku kufa kwa Wamala.
Agamba nti bw'atuuka wano akonkona Shadik Mugerwa omugenzi yali houseboy amugulira bw'amugulira ye akubira Beni amugamba nti tewali muntu mulala baliwo bokka.
Nga wayise ebbanga lya myezi 2 Sali yazzaako essimu abakessi we basinzira okumanya baani be yakubira amasimu mu kaseera Wamala we baamuttira.
Beni bw'eraga nti Sali amukubira ku nnya. Beni yagamba nti yali anga nti wange muzeeyi yabadde agambye okumpa ku ssente.
Ensonda ez'esika zitubuulidde nti essimu Sali gye yasooka okukuba yali ya musajja ab'ebyobutebenkevu gwe bamanyi obulungi nti akozesebwa okutta abantu naddala wano mu Uganda ne mu ggwanga lya Congo.
In fact, we as a directorate, we rank it as a complex case.
Chichi jifuula enzibu. Fabalina ne prime witness to a murder. Bajeyo conversations zaabwe, bajeyo printouts.
Kigambibwa nti Sali yagendako eri omusawo w'ekinnansi Sembabule mbw amugange mbu yali alaba omuzimu gwa Wamala nga gumugoberera buli we yali alaga era n'amubuulira nga bwe yeenyigira mu kutta Wamala. Wabula eby'okugenda ku ndago tebyamuyamba kubanga baamala ne bamukwata.
Poliisi egamba DPP agamba mufune Sali. Omufuna Sali ne mumulinkinga ku Kasande Jole ne Benizibwa then mujja kuba mulina case.
So far, we don't have the kind of evidence that we could take any of the alleged suspects to court against any of the suspects, and the suspects are many, arrested on the basis of suspicion that they were involved.
Sali bwe yatwalibwa ow'omulamuzi mu ddoboozi lye bino yoyogera ku kufa kwa Wamala.
Gwe Sali?
Nze Sali.
Mr. Wamala yafa atya ne yamutta?
Mr. Wamala yamutta kimanyika akatono. Chemanyi Beni ne Mama Debula Jole Mama Debula nali nva kugula ku bugoye ne musingana ne mubuuzaako nanga munange ewa Wamala nakola ki navaayo yansuulira abaana naye ndi mukola ekintu
ki
ekintu ekyo kati nze nkimanya nti yali pulani ya kumutta.
Mama Debula gwayogerako ye Jole Kasande ono nga yali omuganzi w'omugenzi Wamala ne baawukana.
Waba takimanyi nti omuntu oyo yafa? Oba waliwo omwana we yenna tamanyi nti omuntu oyo yafa? Tewali? Waba takimanyi?
Yaŋŋamba nti nsobola okufuna abantu abatta muzeeyi Wamala ne mugamba munnaye nedda nze sibisobola ebyo naye kakati nga bwe wakiyingiddemu nga bwe okitegedde gwakalimu katono nnyo gw'ojja kugenda okole ki oggulewo gwe ojja kubeganga bubezi. Nagenda nenkonkona omuvubuka ne mubuuza muzeeyi gyali nti gyali nti teri muntu yenna nti teri kati awo nange nenkubira Beni.
Okugezaako okubuzaabuza obujulizi abamu ku bapoliisi kigambe baatwala Sali ku kapoliisi kano ak'e emuyenga ne bamuggalira.
Simu nange nakola ki nenjijjako nga mbeeraliikiridde manze pulani we nagitegeera nti yali yakutta kolo lwankubira olwokutaano nti muzeeyi afudde.
Oluvannyuma Sali yasangibwa ng'afiiridde mu kaduukulu. Poliisi egamba mbu yeetuga so nga akaduukulu kaalimu abasibe abalala.
bwetuuseeko wano ofiisa wa poliisi akulirawo ategeeza nti talina kyamanyi kubanga akyali mupya mu kifo. Ensonda ezeesigika zitubuulidde nti Ssaabaduumizi wa poliisi Kale Kayihura yalagira amyuka Ssaabakessi mu poliisi Geoffrey Musana akole okubuliriza ku nfa ya Sali era ebyavaamu byalaga nti Sali baamutuga so si nti yeetuga.
Omuntu eyasobola okupenetratinga police station eyo n'apenetratinga kaseera omwana mwe baali bamusibidde alina okuba nti w'amaanyi.
We have, however, also directed investigations into the death of one of the suspects who had been arrested in that matter.
Ensonda zitegeeza nti alipoota ate waliwo abaagikyusakyusa okutta obujulizi. Twagezezaako okwogera n'amyuka Ssaabakessi mu poliisi Geoffrey Musana naye n'agaana okwogera naffe.
Nasalawo ninga nti ensonga zange nja ziyingiza mu Scotland Yard.
We have our best prosecutors working on that case, senior officers, and let us wait. We have not said that the case is closed. However, the fact that the investigations have taken this long should be an indication and should support what I'm telling you, that this is a complex case.
Mu kitundu kyaffe ekyokusatu tugenda kutuusaako ebyobugagga bya Wamala nga bwe bireesemu enkaayana wakati w'abakazi bajja n'ab'emikwano gy'omugenzi Wilberforce Wamala. Jingo Francis, NTV.
NTV kusaawe mu ekitundu ekyokusatu n'ekyokuna tujja bibatuusaako ku Lwomukaaga ne ku Sande mu NTV kusaawe mu ebya wicheja. NTV kusaawe mu kyagenda maaso katumule mu katono ddala tosubwa ekitundu eky'ebyemizannyo.
NTV just got better. To enhance your enjoyment, your favorite soap La Patrona has been brought closer to home. Effective 3rd March, La Patrona will air at 7:30 p.m. while Saints, Airtel Chakala, Login, Entrepreneur and Unbeatable Banzuke will air at 8:35 p.m. on their respective days. NTV, turning on your world.
Mu mizannyo olwaleero ttiimu ya Uganda yakugulawo empaka z'omuzannyo gwa lacrosse ez'ekikopo ky'ensi yonna ng'ettunkana ginnayo eya Ireland nga 9 ogw'omwezi ogw'omusanvu mu Commerce City ekisangibwa mu America. Guno gugenda okuba omulundi ogusooka nga Uganda okwetaba mu mpaka z'omuzannyo guno ogwaleetebwa kuno mu 2009. Musasi waffe Sam Poza ayiseeko ttiimu y'eggwanga gy'etendekebwa katuwe ebisingawo.
Ttiimu y'eggwanga ey'omuzannyo gwa lacrosse eyongedde amaanyi mu kutendekebwa kw'erimu Nakawa nga yeetegekera okukiikirira Africa mu mpaka z'omuzannyo guno ez'ekikopo ky'ensi yonna. Empaka zino za kubeera mu ggwanga lya America mu mwezi gw'omusanvu mu kibuga ekimanyiddwa nga Commerce City mu ssaza ly'e Denver. Uganda yakuggulawo empaka zino ng'ettunka ne Ireland nga 9 omwezi ogw'omusanvu eryokezzeeko France ne Bermuda mu mizannyo gy'ekibinja. Wadde nga gwe mulundi gwabwe ogenda okusooka okwetaba mu mpaka zino, bannayuganda bagumu nti okwetegeka kwe bakoze kwa kubayamba okuwangula yenna anaabaŋŋanga.
Tugezaako okulaba mbu tukwesa opportunity ze tulina kubanga ffe mumanyi Abafirika tuba ne speed ate n'amale tetukowa mangu nga bali abazungu. Era mu ekyo tujja kukozesa advantage tulina okusobola okuba nga tuleeta ekikopo wano.
Amawanga 38 ge gagenda okwetaba mu mpaka zino naye nga ku go kuliko 9 agasooka obusoso kuzeetabamu. Uganda mulimu China, Colombia, Turkey, Costa Rica, Thailand ne Uganda yokka evudde mu Africa. Sam Poza, NTV.
NTV ku ssaawa eddakiika ziri ya 30 mwezi seeko getusobodde okutuusaako olwaleero neeyungaako nate enkya mu NTV akawungezi ku ssaawa zezimu nga tukuwa amawulire amalala. Nze Farida musule bulungi, mbagaliza weekend nungi, mweraba.
Today's highlight.
Are you going to go back to what you used to do or what?
Oh no, my friend. Maybe when hell freezes over, I may possibly think about it. But for now, I'm happier than ever. Now that I don't have anything.
I don't do cleansings for any of Tiger's enemies, so get lost.
Today's highlight.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Welcome back from the weekend that saw Lupita Nyong'o winning her first Oscar for not just her career, but also for Kenya. And if you see the timelines of Twitter and Facebook, most of the Kenyans are saying, Yani, that's a girl, eh? And congratulations to all the winners at the Oscars 2014. And today, we are power-packed definitely to make you winners too. My name is Brian Londo. Let me get myself sorted here. Mepkem standing by at the NTV studios. Joel Senyonyi and Simon Kasiate also standing by. Let's start today's question of the day. Good morning. Alright, now my tie is ready and today's question of the day is name any 4 former presidents of Uganda. Remember, the first 5 respondents to this question will each win a mug from Morning at NTV. So feel free to get tweeting at Morning at NTV and feel free to Facebook it. Morning at NTV. Like our page first, invite your friends to like it too. And of course, you can send that SMS to 6565. Our guys are monitoring, so get answering those questions. Alternatively, follow us on Twitter at Mebkeb, at MBGold2, and at Kasiate, and at Joel Senyonyi, and also at NTV. Now, standing by at the NTV studios is Mabel with the stories that are making headlines. Good morning.
Brian, a very good morning to you all, and I hope you're having a wonderful start to the week. Here are some of the stories that are making headlines. Minister Frank Tumwebaze has called for a consultative meeting with KCCA councillors. and HIV activists are advocating for an end to the discrimination register, to register gains through the use of a toll-free helpline. And medical officers in Western Uganda say there is a sharp rise in the cases of mental illness in their region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
As the troubled Kampala Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago continues to lament over what he calls a tyranny against the rule of law to lock him out of office, things could actually get worse. The Minister for the Presidency and Kampala, Frank Tumwebaze, has now called for a consultative meeting with KCCA councillors, a decision Lukwago is against.
4 months since a KCCA tribunal found the Kampala Lord Mayor guilty of misconduct, incompetence and abuse of power, Kampala Minister Frank Tumwebaze has written to the KCCA Executive Director Jennifer Musisi asking to hold a meeting with councillors.
The word working groups is completely imported. It does not appear anywhere in the law. We don't have any provision providing for working groups, and I don't know how the legality of these working groups is going to be accounted for by the minister.
Tumwebaze's letter is dated 27th of February in response to Musisi's request that political leadership convenes a meeting to discuss the running of the affairs at City Hall in the absence of the Lord Mayor.
So it's a consultative meeting intended to guide on who does what in the absence of a mayor and a deputy Lord Mayor that are supposed to convene mandatory meetings according to the law.
You hear them making uncoordinated moves, issuing statements which are very, very contradictory, inconsistent.
In Tumwebaze's letter, however, the venue for the meeting, which will take place on March 4th, is concealed. According to the Kampala Capital City Authority Act, meetings can only be convened by the Lord Mayor, a post now immersed in controversy. However, going by the decision of the High Court Judge Yasin Nyanzi, Lukwago is still Lord Mayor as he awaits the verdict of the petition challenging the decision of the KCCA tribunal. The cardinal purpose of the meeting is meant to institute interim standing committees to carry on with work until the impasse involving the Lord Mayor is resolved.
I have to call the councillors and guide them such that they can be able to do their oversight work even when one member of the authority is not there.
Our role as the political leaders is not primarily oversight. Our role is policy formulation.
Erias Lukwago has also described Tumwebaze's attempt as wishful thinking.
And he knows it, he does not have the powers as the minister to call the authority meeting or any other person. He knows it, he's fully aware of that. That's why now he's talking of splitting the authority into small groups.
The former Kampala Central MP said he will not relent on his pursuit of justice.
A group of HIV activists advocating for the end to the discrimination of HIV patients has registered gains through the use of a toll-free helpline to support patients with HIV-related information. The initiative, known as the Support on AIDS and Life Through Telephone Helpline, is being carried out by the Forum for People Living with HIV/AIDS. Florence Naliumba reports.
According to a 2012 UNAIDS report, 1.5 million people in Uganda are living with HIV and AIDS. Although a number of these patients are receiving antiretroviral drugs, many of them shy away from seeking treatment because of the stigma and discrimination they experience in society. But HIV activists from the National Forum of People Living with HIV and AIDS network are on a mission of changing the state of affairs through an initiative called the Support on AIDS and Life Through Telephone Helpline, SALT.
We deal with our clients on calling basis. They call us and it is a toll-free helpline, free of charge. Our number is 0800 100 330.
Initially formed by Uganda AIDS Commission in 2003, SALT has expert counsellors who reach out to any Ugandan in need of HIV-related information.
They always call in to find out, do we offer services or are we in touch with people whom they need, maybe where they can go and get support or counseling or even to pick the ARVs.
Juma, a counsellor, says many people call in with all sorts of questions about issues related to HIV. Most of them want to pick drugs away from their areas of residence, while others just need a counsellor to listen to them.
You always have that information because these are people who are relying on you. 48 people in a day rely on you.
Yeah, we do have most of the things that they ask.
They say the number of callers has more than doubled since SALT's inception. Grace Namule, counsellor here, says the challenge sometimes is with the language.
He knows Lunyankole Luchiga, English and also Luganda. For me, I can try English and Luganda.
Grace adds that most of their staff are well-trained counsellors capable of interpreting a variety of languages in case a client speaking an unfamiliar language calls in. They sometimes rely on their watchman to help with the lower language.
And the health workers, please, if you find like you don't have enough time to sit with your clients, find it so easy, give them the number which is 0800100330. Refer them to us. We shall offer the counseling.
This initiative has brought lots of hope to HIV patients who fear talking face-to-face with counsellors because of the stigma. All it takes for one to participate is having a phone. The calls are free in whatever part of the country one is located. Florence Halimba, NTV.
Medical officials in Western Uganda say there is a sharp rise in the cases of mental illness in their region. Most of the patients have not received any treatment because the hospitals are financially constrained. The prevalence has been attributed to domestic violence, drug abuse, and stress.
The harvest season for farmers is often seen as a blessing for communities across the country. But for locals in the Jiggers sub-region, the season comes with its own perils. A sharp rise in the cases of domestic violence has been registered during this season as households fight over proceeds from the harvest.
One is drunkenness. Number two, we have drug abuse. Number three, we have unemployment where men have shunned away from joining their fellow women to go and work. And at the end of it all, you find them selling off their products.
Medical professionals in the Jiggers sub-region fear that as a result of stress, domestic wrangles and drug abuse, there is an alarming increase in the mental health illnesses. Many patients have not been treated as hospitals grapple with financial constraints.
Health workers have tried to do some outreaches, but we are limited with facilitation to do more outreaches.
The Global Livingstone Institute, a charity organization based in the United States, has partnered with the National Board for Certified Counselors to educate the community about mental health illnesses.
So we created Intusi as a space for community leaders and people with creative minds to come together and think differently about how to improve the lives of Ugandans.
We're hoping to bring mental health skills right down to our communities.
For a country that has been through conflict and a devastating HIV/AIDS epidemic, mental health illness remains a monumental challenge in Uganda. A recent survey carried out by Basic Needs Foundation indicated that around 20% of the population in Uganda suffer from depression, the commonest type of mental illness. Barely half of those suffering from depression have sought medical attention. Uganda only has 32 psychiatrists, as many of their colleagues seek better paying employment abroad.
And that's what we had for you in today's morning edition. We now return to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop to Simon, Brian and Joel for the press review.
It's a bright Monday morning, the first Monday of the month of March 2014, with this show making its 1 month debut. Good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV's press review this morning with me, Simon Kasiate, and my usual bunch of good friends, Brian Mulondo and Joel Senyu. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
Brian, all feeling so gizmo, checking out what's happening on the international scene via his tablets. Two of them, I must confess.
Kids with gadgets, tinkering around with them and that kind of thing.
Should we say kids or men?
Should I also say with the white tie? Well. Trying to...
That belongs to the Salvation Army.
Do one or two things.
It's a bright sunny morning where Africa wakes up to some tremendously good news playing out In Hollywood, Lupita Nyong'o winning a first Oscar for a typical African since the award's inception in the 1920s. She's won it for her supporting actress role in 12 Years a Slave, where she featured as a sexually abused slave. Have you watched that movie? Well, take a look at it. But Kenya is buzzing with excitement, and I'm sure the excitement is rubbing off to you movie lovers in Uganda. Now let's look at what's happening in today's press.
You know, Lupita was the talk of the night, really.
Absolutely.
If you watch the Oscars, but I'm also amazed that, you know, Uganda here also had a lot to do with Lupita's dream. And most of the guys that, you know, the guys of Theatre Factory, Fan Factory, were once with Lupita acting. So they're probably thinking,
so it is not too late for you, Richard Tiwanje, for you, Abe Muchibi, for you, Katolwama, for you, Manuela Pachuco, who also acted a couple of times. For everyone that has touched the silver screen, you could be the next Oscar laureate.
But Abe does quite well. And
she's an amazing,
you know, check out the Observer.
I try to balance it generally. You're not mentioning about the lady I mentioned in those.
Which one? Yeah, my wife also. one day an egg will walk.
We've seen you on a number of occasions supporting her for winning tremendous awards, and we are looking forward to seeing you on the stage in Hollywood.
In Hollywood, very soon.
The Observer this morning is screaming out, "I am not finished yet," says Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi. Now, I thought they would stop at "I am not finished."
He's not finished
when
yet.
You say
that
yet,
means he's intending to be finished at
Please
some point.
do not finish the good old Prime Minister. I think he's got a lot of tremendous work to be done. But that's the story playing out for you in The Observer. When and where did he make these remarks of he's not finished yet? Get yourself a copy of The Observer and get to know. But let me remind you that on Saturday we had the Ask the PM session where those of you who are tweets got a chance to peek into the brain of the good old Prime Minister. And of course, he had some wise words to share with you. And of course, desperation and despairing the many rumors that have shrouded his name in the last couple of months, as we'll be seeing later on in the big story this morning.
He's actually very tech savvy, but it's good. He's seemingly touching base with the younger people, the .com generation. But whether that will endeavor that it doesn't get finished is another story.
Brian, we will appreciate that the Ugandan population demographics are such that the young people are the majority. So anybody who is associating with young people, younger than me, of course, I'm an old man.
You think so?
Definitely.
You will grow old and you see what it means to grow old, you know? When you sink your teeth into a sandwich and they remain there.
Quite interesting. So he is trying to position himself in a demographic that possibly will deliver him to his ultimate dream. But talking of which, Mbabazi youth, the pro-Mbabazi youth have been arrested, reports the Daily Monitor and The Observer this morning. Who are these people? Where have they been arrested? Who is arresting them? And why have they been arrested? All these are questions that can only be answered if you get yourself a copy of these two newspapers this morning.
But I'll tell you, still on the Prime Minister's story, touching base with the .com generation, you say they are the majority and that kind of thing. But this majority are not the ones that are on Twitter and that kind of thing. I think it's a fallacy when we assume that all young people are very tech savvy. We would want that to happen. Is it the case? I'm not too sure. The real voters are these border guys and so on. These Twitter fellows are the ones.
But then you will appreciate that the border guys are not old senile men. These are also young people. That's the point. They are young people. So even if they're not on Twitter, the Prime Minister reaches out to young people in more ways than just Twitter. He's actually there mobilizing. He goes out and carries out a number of activities. He is giving out loans at microfinance institutions. He is presenting.
Even they give out Christmas cards, is it?
Absolutely. So clearly you can see that his strategy is up to the mark.
Probably
and
some of the things that have precipitated his quote-unquote fall, like people say.
If you ask me, I think for me that's the hallmark of political genius, that you are able to reach out to people as opposed to waiting after every 5 years to throw up on a dice and say, he's constantly in touch. He's not a guy you've not heard from in a week. Either someone is bashing him, but he's coming out strong and clean. Interestingly, because we've seen all these probes and, allegations and, that mudslinging coming out to him. Of coming out with tact and detachment, living spotlessly
and I must give him credit there. He comes out diplomatically, not as inexorably as you would expect him to.
Someone told me he frustrates interviewers.
He frustrates interviewers. Well, I have had the chance of hosting him on NTV's On the Spot, and I can tell you it was one of the most difficult and yes, most insightful interviews I've ever had. Well, if you are a gay hater, listen to this carefully. If you are a gay hater, forget it. Forget going to the United States of America, or so says the ambassador of the US in Uganda. No visas for Ugandan gay haters. How that will be determined, whether they will reach on your forehead.
And he's saying that from here in now Uganda?
Yes, of course.
Are they going to add a question on the, visa application form.
Do you hate gays? Are you homosexual? And they're like, that's $1 million question.
And people are supposed to answer yes if they want a visa.
Perhaps if we read more into the Observer this morning, we'll get to understand what is up the sleeve of this good diplomat representing the U.S. interests.
There are people that have been blacklisted. You had Semper the other day and several other. There are those that have been tight marked and they're saying this one, and that kind of thing. It's probably not everybody.
Well, the editorial of the Observer this morning is saying donors should not be more intolerant than anti-gay bill. Yes, you preach tolerance, you preach the belief in divergent views. Now, you must understand that if it is not your way, it shouldn't be no way. There are people who don't think like you, who don't reason like you, who don't appreciate like you. You can disagree with their viewpoint, but you must defend to death their right to have their opinion. What's the Observer saying? If you accuse Uganda of being intolerant to gays, then don't be intolerant to Uganda because they're intolerant to gays. Come on, practice what you preach.
Yes.
Simply in the Observer this morning. The Daily Monitor, what are we saying?
Well, the Daily Monitor has a story of 2 Special Force guards that died in a State House shootout. And the army is saying, one of the guards came back drunk, and while they tried to contain him, shot one of them. So they also had to neutralize him.
Well, there we are, $1 million question. How safe is our president if this is playing out in his backyard? Get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and get to find out how close this shot was to the ear of the president.
I'm talking about shooting. The president here is quoted talking about poachers and cattle rustlers. The issue of Toposa and Tukana coming to Uganda with guns to kill wild animals and steal cattle is simple. Just shoot and kill them.
The poachers.
Well, let's go. One of the occupants of State House, the First Lady Janet Museveni, is pictured on the front page of the Daily Monitor, looking motherly as always, and listening to some words coming in from former Vice President.
I don't know if you see what I see, but there seem to be many people headlining, kneeling down for some good people. Is that not what you see?
Down?
I don't know whether that picture is on the screen there.
She's kneeling down.
The former Vice President. Yeah, she's kneeling down for.
No, but wait a minute. How else would she have presented herself? Stood right over her?
I'm not adding anything. I'm just looking at the picture of her kneeling. That's all.
Yeah, she's simply a well-grounded, mannered Ugandan woman. Well, going back to the homosexuality question, the Church of Uganda is ready to secede from the Church of England. So anytime soon, we will not be members of the Church of England, which is headquartered at Canterbury. Why? The $1 million question, which is the homosexuality. We call it a vice, they call it a right. Well, and this is now for you to listen very carefully. Civil society, most powerful force for social change. These are the eternally wise words of the Aga Khan, playing out for you on page 3 of the Daily Monitor this morning. This he made while addressing the Canadian Parliament.
I'll tell you, I believe him. Many of the movers and shakers world over have not really been put forward by governments, because many times it's not even in the interest of governments to deliver on certain issues. So when civil society is strong enough and it comes out and says, look, we are digging in our heels here, you've got to deliver on this. That does happen.
What about if civil society is simply a puppet of other external forces? Like we've seen people accuse Ugandan civil society of being surrogates of American imperialism, of being surrogates of British colonialism, trying to enforce a British style way of looking at things, or even foreign interests here. How can we say that this civil society is the one that's going to bring the desired change for Ugandans?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, there are some that are puppets, like you're saying. They are used, but again, that's not to take it away from some that are doing a good job. It's just like they are...
Let's put it on a weighing scale. Those doing a very good job and the surrogates.
Wow, I need to do my research.
Those are very few. Research a couple of years ago, was showing how one of the most, very popular organization here that helps out children was going to be closed by government. Because in the US, a lot of money was being fundraised, but if you look at what they've done on the ground, it's too little to tell you, with the money. So for me, I guess one, they may be surrogates, but also two, they are an extension of corruption.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. If you are an anti-corruption civil society organization and you are accused of being corrupt, then clearly there is something missing in translation. Well, if you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor this morning, you'll get to see the top 500 A-level schools. Now, this...
Does your former school appear anywhere among this?
Now, very good question. The first school
I don't
on
see
the
anything
list...
like
Wait a minute.
in secondary school.
Excuse me, Joel, don't make a fool of yourself. The first school on the list is Ntare School. Wait a minute, as of 2012.
Yes.
The first school on the list, Ntare School. There I did 4 years. The second school, St. Mary's College, Kisubi. There I did 2 years. Anyone wants to question that, the register is there to see. Well,
yeah, it's one thing to go there, it's another thing to have it said yourself, because you see,
absolutely. So, is your school among the top 500 A-level schools? Well, get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor this morning. And of course, I will understand and appreciate your sentiments if you end up like Joel, who... The question is to ask which schools others went to and cannot mention his own schools on this
Somebody asked me the other day, Joel, Wasomero. I said, Kusomero. Go Wasomero.
The Minister for the Presidency is summoning members of the Kampala Capital City Authority. We know this, we've seen it playing out. So the drama at City Hall continues, and the copy of the Daily Monitor this morning
if you look
will
at
give
the
you an
contenders
insight
of the,
the new seat. I saw Mavike there and a number of these others.
Who is likely to... And Sebagala, isn't this a shame for Sebagala to be interested in
Why
this?
is it a
It's
shame?
actually more a shame for those that vote for him.
Yes,
I would think
personally think, we need to get to a
Brian,
level
let's be
where-
honest here. What is shameful about Sebagala expressing his personal ambition and sentiment towards
He failed as a mayor. He failed.
To what extent
he
did he
promised
fail?
people things he could not.
Kavera,
Yes,
you didn't get
that Kavera talk. And I know it resonated quite well.
Tell me
with
which
his-
mayor in Uganda you have elected who has promised you something that has come to pass?
Because
does that mean we should not demand for
Yes.
one? If we've had lousy leaders all the while that have been doing a lackluster job, does that mean we say, you know what, we cannot
So
do
we
any better?
So why don't we continue with the devils that we know than angels we've never
Oh,
seen?
crap.
At least
I've had
with
that a lot, and I'm thinking...
At least with Sebagala, you know what you get. He tells you A, you get C. Well,
maybe it is
Munini
better
Murera, in his letter to a Kampala friend every Monday morning today, he says, hypocrisy in the homosexuality debate. What's the good old doctor from Canada saying? Let's recall what Canada's sentiments towards Uganda is. Juxtapose it to his views this morning, and you'll get yourself an understanding of what he's trying to say. Park report recommendations on OPM leave a lot to be desired, writes my good old friend Frank Anduho. And
that's a statement being made by not just him. There's many thinking, wait a minute, something doesn't seem clear. But I suppose a lot more is yet to be unraveled, so wait and see how things pan out.
Well, in the next magazine this morning, there is a headline feature with the word, I am God. Now the G is a small g. Isn't this blasphemous? Well, a higher power, people who have claimed to be God.
We have some of them here in Uganda.
Absolutely. So there we are. Get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and find out what it means to be as blasphemous as claiming to be God. Living healthy, or should I say, healthy living this morning. It's a pull out in the Daily Monitor that comes out every Monday. Pain and pleasure, making the bitter experience of taking medicine better. So are you grappling with how to swallow that daily pill for whatever reasons you're swallowing it? Well,
the other day I met a guy who was taking over how many bottles of booze. He told me, you see, the doctor told me to drink a lot. It's just that he did not specify. You people.
So he specified for himself. Well, there's plenty of interesting stories there, including newspapers in education. The Society magazine is also out there to give you very interesting insights. And yes, the movers and shakers of Chiruhura district. A couple of friends I don't see on this list, but I know that they actually move and shake things in there. So get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and find out whether you are a mover or shaker in this district that seems to
some are the moved and the shaken.
Well, this is a district where it's not very easy to be a mover and shaker, given that the president hails from that place, and you're not around the president. He's got his kith and kin, who obviously run the show in this country. Well, in the sports section, we'll start from your piece of cake, Brian.
Well,
Arsenal had an interesting, tremendous game over the weekend.
Yes.
You may wish to share with our viewers.
Very, very huge blow to our title, contention. We lost 1-0 to Stoke City. Oh, I move at ditch. My producer is really annoying me here.
Stoke City of all clubs.
Yes, but one of the other stories that has really caught my
what does it feel for an Arsenal fan, given the trailblazing energy and a lot of weaverbird chattering that you've had over the last couple of weeks, given your winning streak? How does it feel now, realizing that you're actually back to where you actually belong? somewhere without silverware.
Especially for a fan that has always been here intransigent about the fact that they cannot make it.
This is the thing.
Okay.
It's definitely a huge setback, very huge setback, but I think
expected
like
setback or no,
not expected.
A shocking
it was
setback.
a very shocking setback.
Well, you've seen worse. You've gone 8 years without any silverware. Does this really shock?
This guy is really giving it to you. I'm on the place where let me just take it the Nagis. So Simon, you will not change my but the other story that has caught my eye, very interesting now, it's going to take the world by storm. Oscar Pistorius' trial that is going to be televised.
Well, let's remind our viewers, for those of you who've lost something in translation, Oscar Pistorius is that Olympic gold medalist that represented South Africa on the track race, the guy without legs, or should we say the blade runner. I'm sure you remember that story, a guy without legs running on blades and winning it so hard, but ending up allegedly slaying his own wife.
No, he did slay her. What's in quotation is whether it was intentional or otherwise. But
I don't want to sound subjudice. It happens everywhere in the world. But well, those of you who are local boxing fans, I'm sure you did watch this bout between Odeke and is it Muchunguzi or someone like that? Well, Odeke came out splendidly super, flying like a butterfly and stinging like a bee.
But you know, I saw that opponent of Odeke and I was thinking, this guy is so lousy. You know, the way he was all making noise, telling us he's going to destroy this fellow.
But don't they wait a minute, don't they all make noise before the match?
No, but you see, I expected that his noise would be concomitant to his performance.
Well,
ask an
Arsenal fan. Is their noise concomitant to their win? That's the question.
Okay, I will hold that.
We have to end this.
Well, now we take a short break. From here very quickly. When we return, folks, it's the big story, an interesting big story. One, if you're a political lover, this is an insight you don't want to miss out. Stay with us.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apuena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solana Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apuena, returns to a beautiful, mysterious woman. Past.
Stella, me diz a verdade, seja ela qual for.
And her destiny is to fulfill the curse.
Acredita em mim, eu não queria amar o branco que a nossa gente marcou pra morrer.
Destiny River.
Me? Oh, you give me way too much credit.
You know what? You got what you want. But what shocks me is that you don't care at all about Hakim and Lulu.
What was that? That was me trying to save the two of us. At the expense of someone's career? A man's got to do what a man's got to do to survive. All I need is answers.
How about you stay away from my reporters and stay away from my newspaper?
Hakim could be Mabel's son, but that's yet to be verified.
But where do you get all these stories from?
I'm a journalist, but what I don't buy...
If you spend less time on the phone, you should probably move up to speed.
Oh gee, thanks for the advice.
I am your mother, not one of your cheap whores, and you need to show me some respect.
she was molested when she was 6 by someone she trusted.
The doctors finally walked into the door. They basically were telling me that she had a 5% chance of living.
I couldn't understand how somebody that tells you they loved you, that held you as a child, could abuse you.
Tommy Scott grew up among gang violence, drugs, and poverty in the projects of South Central Los Angeles.
I felt not normal, not good. I wasn't lovable.
As a teen, Melissa discovered that drinking gave some relief.
Tommy is free today and continues to tell people that it was Jesus who changed his life.
The time I spent in prison, I spent putting my ideas together on, how I was going to come back and make it all right.
And I realized my purpose, that I was created to reflect the glory of God.
Duke now realizes why God kept him alive.
These were real people facing desperate situations, just like you and me.
Jesus died to set you free, and he can give you a new heart.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Filagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
A wife who you got through the office will be very insecure about you working in another place.
Always hunt up, don't hunt down.
You mean what? Go after your superior?
How dare you suggest that when a woman is aggressed against, we should look at the person who's been aggressed against?
Let the couple be. Let them sort out their issues. When they need you, then you come in.
Prostitution is being given a new brand.
All I know is that I connect people. Let's not choose to open our zips and do whatever our urge is, because I don't think that an urge is stronger than your will to say no.
People attach a lot of questions, shame to HIV.
I do not believe that when you wear a short dress, you should be a rep.
Marrying a wife is like having assured sex.
Anytime you come, you must have.
Yes.
To raise a population that has no clue how to be men.
Can you bring out a quality family?
I don't get married for my family.
Men, every Wednesday only on NTV.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
How? Tugenda okwera kechiro. Yanga mwami omanyi? Ola keko nango obuludi bw'obusembayo.
I went to the nurse and I asked why. Why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive?
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombye ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo lwe bakwokezza. Nazeepoza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokezza.
Kino ekyafa kino.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette. The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
I can smell that liquor on your breath.
Because I've been drinking.
watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Molondo.
Thank you for waking up with us this Monday morning. We now return to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop to Simon for the big story.
Thank you, Mabel. It's the big story this morning on Morning at NTV, the 3rd day of March 2014. And of course, as usual, a beautiful, wonderful, sunny, rising sun over the skyline of Kampala. And we're coming to you live from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. Now, I'll take you back to a happening that took so many weeks ago, and that's the retreat in Chankwanzi. Let's recall that the National Resistance Movement caucus in Parliament took off a 10-day retreat to the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi to mull over a number of interestingly strategic political issues from which they would come up with perhaps a joint position before they hit the floor of Parliament, which started in earnest. This retreat started on the 6th and ended on the 16th. And while they were in there, they celebrated Valentine's Day and sent unto us interesting Valentine gifts. Among them, the resolution that the anti-homosexuality bill should be signed. One of them knelt before His Excellency the President, said, "Believe you me, without you this country is doomed. Kindly contest for the presidency, and not just contest, be the sole flag bearer for the NRM." And we had over 200 of these legislators endorsing with signature this document that made President Yoweri Museveni, in essence, a sole flag bearer for the 2016 presidential election. Now, let's recall that the movement caucus obviously is not the bona fide NRM structure that appoints a sole flag bearer or a flag bearer for that matter for this party. But yes, their voices were heard. Now this morning, we're going to go deeper into the 10-day retreat at Chankwanzi. Was it all about taking a long walk with the president, many of them falling by the wayside, panting and unable to move further? Was it all about discussing homosexuality and its effects on the society? Or was it all about kneeling down and showing maximum respect and adoration to a man who they intend to contest for the presidency again? What else could have been discussed in Chankwanzi? Who were the movers and shakers in there? With me at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel to discuss all these and more is the Honorable Peter Ogwang. You're a youth MP representing the youth of Eastern Uganda on the NRM ticket. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
You don't sound energized as should be expected of a youth. You're making me feel like I'm interviewing one of those old colleagues of yours who are quite not very up to their energy.
I'm only disappointed this morning by the jam. There's a trailer which blocked my way to coming here. But like it's always the routine. Even when you're beginning to eat, you just begin slowly as you continue eating.
You fire up.
By the time you reach the right destination, you'd have fired up what you want. So I am okay.
Well, on this show, we call it the SMS of TV. Short and punchy. You don't have more than 160 characters to make your point. Well, that is also an indication of how poorly this town is planned, that one small traffic skirmish can cause a tremendous jam that will get people like you stuck for hours and losing out on your appointments. But let's start from where you come from. You previously worked as an assistant private secretary to His Excellency the President in State House in charge of youth affairs. In Parliament, you're currently the vice chairperson of the Committee on Presidential Affairs. You're also known to be one of the group of young firebrand newcomers in Parliament who are out to ensure that President Museveni becomes the perpetual leader of Uganda. Am I right with that description?
You're very right in terms of supporting Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and NRM leadership. Of course, I am a cadre of NRM.
And an apologetic cadre?
At all. So long as it is on issues of NRM, we are there to protect the revolution. In line with what happened in Chankwanzi, I want to...
What revolution?
The revolution, of course, you all know that. The 27 men and the gallant sons and daughters of this country went to the bush and liberated us.
Stop right there. Where were you on the 6th day of February 1981?
I was 3 years. You know, I'm a born of 83. I think.
So you were not yet born?
I was 81. I was not yet born.
Why, had your parents met?
Yeah, definitely.
Quite an interesting scenario. That a guy who was not born on the 6th of February 1981 is here to defend with all gusto the revolution. What did you discuss in Chankwanzi?
First of all, I want to say that we discussed quite a lot of issues, and of course, the one which everybody would love to hear, and the one which all supporters of NRM would love to hear, and the one which all opposition politicians would never want to hear is that one.
Which one?
Is this one of us as a party we came up with, as a caucus specifically, we came up with the resolution requesting His Excellency the President to contest as a sole candidate and a chairman of National Resistance Movement.
Wait right there. Let's use the proper words. Were you requesting? Were you begging? Were you cajoling? Did you force?
I think I want to use two words. We begged and requested.
I saw the begging in form of someone kneeling down. Our dear friend Honorable Anita, kneeling down and passionately appealing.
I want to thank her. She expressed her sincere feelings and requests to the President.
Absolutely.
And as a daughter, the only way you can do to respect an elder is to kneel down.
If it were you making that appeal, how would you have positioned yourself?
Of course, as me myself, I would have humbled myself. And if you can recall that video, I remember I did it because I was the first. It is me who invited my sister to come and read out the resolution.
Humbly.
Humbly, I requested.
That picture played out on the front page of major newspapers in Uganda showed Anita kneeling down and the persons on the front row looking at her with mixed expressions on their faces. If we can get that on the screen for people to receive it, well and good. But let's just play it back. Honorable Mbabazi was on the front row and he looked at Anita. You could read from his body language. He was looking at her with, what is this that this girl is doing? The Honorable Moses Ali possibly was with one eye awake. There was another Honorable seated on the front row who possibly could not give a damn what was saying. But then there were others who had all these expressions of shock and awe. What was the reaction when Anita knelt down and requested, especially from those amongst you who have presidential ambitions?
First of all, I'm not aware.
Liar.
You know,
Peter Gwang, you are a liar. If you are not lying, how could you appeal to someone to be the sole presidential candidate, saying that there are those amongst us, well, these are the words of you and Anita, that there are those amongst us who want to divide the party and also contest against Musei. So how can you come here and claim you don't know anyone?
Let me make this statement. Do you know what I'm saying? So I have never had anyone amongst them who has come out openly to say, I want to contest as a presidential candidate under NRM party. We only know and we beg His Excellency the President, who is a president, who is the chairman of a party, and to make matters worse, he is a strong candidate and a strong
we don't
personality.
take prisoners on this show. Yes, you appeal to President Museveni, but I'm told there are some amongst you who are appealing to another center of power. And let's be very honest here. There are some among you who are propping the Right Honorable Prime Minister Mbabazi to contest. There are some among you who are propping the former Vice President Honorable Gilbert Badiba Sekabu. There are some among you who are propping the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Kadaga to stand for the presidency. How can you claim that you do not know anyone whose eye that's it?
You know why I am on record and I'm on a talk show where I have very many viewers who are looking at me. And within Parliament, first of all, anticipation and discussing things which you're not sure of is not part of my work. So for me, I am talking from the informed point of view. If they have, can they go on record? If they have not, so how do I begin anticipating, speculating that they have? For that purpose, I want to address myself specifically to the current chairman of NRM and the president of the country.
Your Secretary General, from all the talk that's going around, I am sure you've heard this talk, that he harbors presidential ambitions, and in fact, he wanted to put on the gloves and tussle for it in 2016.
If he dares to do that, then we are there to as a part, of course, first of all, we allow internal democracy within NRM party. Of course, there are right forums where such people can express.
You allow internal democracy. How come you're passing a resolution to have one sole presidential candidate and seemingly muzzling the ambitions of several other people?
Even becoming an opposed is democracy. Yes, within parties. And even if today, come 2016, all other Ugandan thought, and if they think Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is the best candidate and they tell him, can you become an opposed as a president? That is also democracy. It's not about going to a ballot. Democracy to me, so long as people have faith and confidence in you, like we have anyway. We are talking about a person, a president who has been around for the last 28 years.
Interestingly, in the last 28 years, that's when you were born, that's when you are groomed. And while you were in school, Peter Ogwang, you were told every other morning that you are the leaders of tomorrow. You are possibly going to be the next president. If you are going to continue propping up men who have reached the prime of their life, perhaps even past their prime of their life, and you breaking down that spirit that was inculcated in you as the leader of tomorrow, when will people like you ever vie for the presidency?
First of all, that assertion is wrong. I am a leader of today, and it's the reason I'm here. And under the NRM, I can tell you we have a representation of young people from the village to the national. I'm at the apex.
Why can't you take the mantle and take the big one as president?
That is what I'm saying. Constitutionally, first of all, as you are aware that as far as I'm concerned, anyone below 35 years cannot contest for being a president.
Okay.
So as far as a young person is concerned, we're entirely out.
We have 40-year-olds, we've got 36-year-olds, and many youth tweeted and went on Facebook and went on radios saying the youth in Chankwanzi have disappointed us. They in fact called your honorable colleague Anite a disgrace. How do you kneel and ask an old senile man to continue being president of this country? What would you reply to such youth?
I want to say this.
And they're watching you now.
I want to say this, and I want to appeal to them. I am happy that within the NRM, as young people are beginning to see a vision amongst ourselves as young people of NRM. It's not about supporting, but it's about being involved and being active. It's about having a plan and a vision. When do we think we are ready to take up this mantle? And that's what we are doing within the NRM party. And I want to appeal to them in all other parties. For us as youth in NRM, we think and we believe that by President Museveni being there, our time is soon coming. So it's all about timing.
Peter, supposing President Museveni says no,
of course we are going to appeal to him.
Wait a minute, are you going to cajole this man? Are you going to drag him to State House?
Let me say this. As far as we are concerned, it is us who are appealing to him to contest.
There is a school of thought that in fact it is him appealing to himself, not using you people.
No, that is in fact, I'm happy that I want to make this clarification here. No, not at any one time as President Museveni
called to the camera.
Yes, I want to repeat this. Not at any one time as President Museveni called on any one of us to help or to try to convince him to contest. That's not true.
If he did, would you come and honor it and tell the truth here on this TV?
I'm not only speaking to this TV, but I'm also speaking to my God. Yes, I am a Christian and I believe in God.
I should have known better to carry with me a Bible here for you to swear on oath.
That one I want to go on record, and I want to repeat, no ridicule, Honorable my colleague Evelyn, no ridicule any one of us. Not at all.
Let's discuss a hypothetical question in your view.
Yes.
Honorable Mbamavaz has not come out to declare that he's contesting for the presidency, but clearly the rumors have been around. And let's give credit where it's due. That guy actually does some work.
Let me say this, and I want to go on record. My Prime Minister is a very intelligent Prime Minister. My Secretary General is a very intelligent Secretary General. But for now, we are interested, and for us we say, the status quo remains. Can he remain as our Prime Minister? Can he remain as our Secretary General? But as far as the chairmanship, we still believe.
You may have a little insight in State House. Since you work there, you may have a few, still some tenterhooks, and you can tell us what's happening behind closed doors. There is an imminent cabinet reshuffle. And from the goings on and the sentiments and the push and tussle and between President Museveni and the Prime Minister, there is a rumor making the rounds that he possibly may not be Prime Minister going forward after this reshuffle. Can we take that to be gospel truth?
I cannot speculate because, as all are aware, that powers to appoint and disappoint are vested on the presidency.
You have some insight into State House.
As for the Ugandan information, I don't want to speculate here. To be honest, my brother and sister, it is the president who appoints. But for me, I would appeal to him that, as far as I'm concerned, he's an intelligent Prime Minister, he's an intelligent Secretary General.
He works really hard.
He works very hard.
He's suave and techie.
That is true. And like I could say, it's like my speaker. Even if I am to come back to Parliament, I will still also support her to be the Speaker. Even if I am to come back to Parliament, I will still appeal to the President.
But they should maintain their ambitions at that level.
That's why we are saying...
And so we should also appeal to Honorable Gilbert Bukenya to remain as MP for Busiro, wherever.
For Professor Gilbert Bukenya, the party can still decide where to deploy him. That is it, and that is how we work in NRM.
Let's get down to other discussions at Chankwanzi. Apart from the, that huge issue of who takes on your flag in 2016, what else did you discuss and move over that possibly did not play out in the media or in the public?
First of all, I want to say about it, of course, I'm happy that all Ugandans, I was in Tororo over the weekend with on the installation of the Archbishop of Tororo Diocese, the long-awaited anti-homosexuality bill. Of because we discussed and we are happy the president told us was going to sign and it has happened. Let's
Well,
talk
he has signed it. We are seeing donor cuts. We are seeing denial of visas to some progressive Ugandans because of their views on this. We are seeing the Anglican Church threatening to secede from the Church of England. We are seeing also many ramifications as a result of this law. Don't you think you will lead this country into an abyss of total suffering?
I want to say this, and it's the reason why we have confidence in the leadership of the country and specifically the president. He's one who cannot be put to any pressure of any international community. As Ugandans, we are what we are because we believe in God, and we cannot allow any person, any country to try to bring in its own influence over the affairs of our own country.
The same God you believe in as a country says thou shalt not steal. You as a government, you as leaders have stolen more than the word steal can describe. The same God says thou shalt not kill. You leaders have killed perhaps even more than the word kill can describe. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Fornication has become the second name of most of our leaders. The same God says thou shalt not bear false witness. You are the most tremendous liars we have seen in the country, at least from what you say and do. So how can you say you believe in God against homosexuality, but you don't believe and adhere to God's teachings when it comes to killing, brigandage, and all sorts of other things, including lying?
I can say this, as far as institutions to fight corruptions are concerned, it's our government which has established them under the Constitution, and I can name them. Let's talk about IGG, let's talk about
PPDA,
let's talk about PAC, let's talk about
the police anti-corruption,
let's talk about the anti-corruption courts. All these CID, all these institutions are as a product of our government. And why do I bring this? Our government also believes in the rule of law. That's why we cannot interfere with other state institutions when they are operating, trying to look at curbing corruption. If it was a dictatorial government, we would say, can we sentence this one to life imprisonment? But we believe that there's a rule of law. When cases of corruption go to courts of judicature, that is we are talking about
beyond homosexuality, beyond life presidency. What else was discussed in Chankwanzi?
Of course,
10 days.
Let's talk about, we looked at our manifesto. We assessed the performance of the manifesto. For instance, if we talk about structure, we are looking at, can we create more energy, more power dams? Can we create more electricity to help generate jobs for our young people? Because as you're all aware, our problem today as a party is unemployment. And the only way we can address unemployment is to attract more foreign investors to come and invest in our country. And specifically, that's why when we talk about one resolution, we had that. In education sector, we looked at, there's a students loan scheme, which is beginning this coming academic intake. Within that, there's also skilling Uganda, which is also ongoing within.
So clearly what you discussed in there is well-sounding, nice strategies to take this country to that level of prosperity that we all want it to be. But the million-dollar question has been, you talk, and you talk so nicely. You strategize and strategize so nicely. You plan and even plot so nicely. But when it comes to the actual action, something is lost in translation. It's talk and talk and talk, and no action, action, action.
My brother, I want to say this, and maybe this is where you people must help us.
Where you people means we.
You who are in the media specifically. You know why I'm saying this?
Please.
There's a lot which has been done, honestly, which needs publicity. And it's not about talking. If we talk about investment government has put in, it's seen.
Isimba is underway.
Isimba is underway.
Karuma is underway.
It was commissioned,
yes,
and it's meant to begin. Let's talk about roads, infrastructure development in the countryside.
Absolutely.
For the first time, a railway, a train was seen in Igulu. What is it doing?
Has it gone back since the day of the launch?
And that's what I'm saying. At least the roads have been cleared. That one I'm happy. I come from parts of Teso where there's a railway station. The roads have been worked on. All these things are not being talked about. Let's talk about these dams here. Even now we are going to get a new bridge in NTV, in Jinja.
Yes.
So it's not about we are talking. So when we talk about education, when we talk about students' loan scheme, we are talking about giving the poor opportunity to come and read.
Getting into parliament where you sit as a youth member of parliament, that 9th parliament started off with a good promise, but from the look of things, you have gone back into what is expected of you, to claim sitting allowances when you don't sit, to bleed the already bleeding taxpayer even further by getting yourself interesting technology, ostensibly to save paper. And I'm told that of all the customers of iPads in the world who are in their millions, it's only 356 clients of the iPad who have requested for training on how to use them, yet we know that 3-year-olds can operate iPads. We see you, blaming government for not doing certain things, but you discussing your emoluments and blaming taxpayer further. And you, midway your term, feeling like a disappointment to the people that voted you in there to create the kind of change they wanted.
Maybe I want to make some clarification, and maybe I'll request that the head of the institution, that's the Right Honourable Speaker, comes here. But before, one, we have never discussed our emoluments. That's a fact.
The public could never know because that's discussed closed doors.
I'm being honest to them. We have never discussed our emoluments, though the Constitution gives us the mandate to decide on how much we earn.
You are the only ones in the country, I'm sure, who give you...
Exactly. It's the law. Two, our own issues of not attending Parliament, not what... I leave this to the voters. It is them. I'm happy today, all of us, we are shown on TV, whether you're in or you're out. Three, on this purpose here, it is the people who vote us to decide on us, because even me...
Let me remind you, I have a voter's card.
Yes, and that's why I'm calling upon the population to remind all of us elected leaders. We have 4 fundamental consumer obligations as members of Parliament. Legislate, represent, appropriate, oversight. The question is your MP doing what they are meant to do?
Final question on the issue of President Yoweri Museveni and his flag bearership.
Yes.
I mean, President Museveni is not immortal. God forbid. If something happened to him and he's incapacitated in more ways than one to hold the mantle for you in 2016, who, when you look around the NRM, do you think would be the most apt replacement? And we're speaking from an if point. This is hypothetical. Don't feel constrained on how much you can stretch your imagination.
If our party has quite very many persons whom I think are great personalities. E.g., we have the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, we have the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Are you putting them in a particular order of competence, or you're just dropping names?
I am dropping names. We have, like, for instance, even His Excellency, the Vice President, even now, very competent. Let's talk about the former Vice President. Very competent.
The Honourable Minister for Karamoja Affairs.
I have, like, the Honourable Minister for Karamoja Affairs, very competent. I have my Member of Parliament, because I have a residence in Soror Municipality. He had also one time shown a presidential ambition. So within NRM.
How come that one you picked and you didn't pick the one of Honourable Mambabas?
I picked him as a Right Honourable Prime Minister. I have not mentioned him as a Mambabas.
No, I'm saying, how come you picked the ambition of Honourable Mukula and not the one of Honourable Mbabazi?
No, I'm saying I am picking. You said if. But by then, that's how I've told you that within NRM we had quite a big number. But what is...
You are dropping all the names. We have younger people in Parliament. How come you're not considering those? The Honourable Todwong stand a chance of leading this country, for example?
I think the timing is coming for us. And for me, I believe this generation of Honourable Todong, Honourable Frank, Honourable
Peter Gwangs and the that is yet to come on.
Our generation, to me, let's talk about 2021.
Well, there you had it. You've got to wait a little longer to see a young face in the State House, if indeed the words of Honourable Peter Gwanga are anything to go by. Let's take a short break. When we return, it's Simon Says. Well, there we are. For any party caucus, there must be a time when you sit back, reflect on what you intend to do, make a strategic plan. Perhaps some would call it a SWOT analysis. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, or even your threats. Wait against your promised manifesto and get down to do some serious business. The NRM did this for 10 days in Chankwanzi. They came out. Now, for we who sit on the sidelines and watch them govern over us, ours is to keep a close watch. Will they do? Will they walk the talk? Will they offer what they promised? But if they did come out with some repugnant resolutions, if we don't believe that President Museveni, for example, should be their sole flag bearer, if we don't believe that signing the anti-homosexuality bill is going to progress this country, what is left within our means to ensure that we redeem ourselves from the ramifications of their actions if they do not represent our general whims and fancies? Now, that calls on one important aspect that I wish to share with you this morning. Civic responsibility. To what extent are you able to hold your leader to account? To what extent are you able to change leadership that you don't like? To what extent do you feel your vote counts? If we continue to think and move over these questions, shall we then be a citizenry that will indeed offer ourselves the kind of leaders that we deserve? With that said, Wherever this wonderful Monday morning takes you, wherever this month of March takes you, make sure that you make the best out of it. Like I already say, lemons will be thrown at you. The best you can do is make a wonderful cup of lemonade out of them and enjoy your life to the fullest. Have a wonderful morning. Morning at NTV continues.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solana Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apoena, returns to a beautiful, mysterious woman.
Stella, me diz a verdade, seja ela qual for.
And her destiny is to fulfill the curse.
Acredita em mim, eu não queria amar o branco que a nossa gente marcou pra morrer.
Destiny River.
I can smell that liquor on your breath.
Because I've been drinking.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solana Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apoena, returns to a beautiful, mysterious woman.
Stella, me diz a verdade, seja ela qual for.
And her destiny is to fulfill the curse.
Acredita em mim, eu não queria amar o branco que a nossa gente marcou pra morrer.
Destiny River.
The average age of the international team is under 18.
The primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
The players haven't put on they haven't wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
Me? Oh, you give me way too much credit.
You know what? You got what you want. But what shocks me is that you don't care at all about Hakim and Lulu.
What was that? That was me trying to save the two of us. At the expense of someone's career? A man's got to do what a man's got to do to survive. All I need is answers.
How about you stay away from my reporters and stay away from my newspaper?
Hakim could be Mabel's son, but that's yet to be verified.
But
where do you get all these stories from? I'm a journalist, but what I don't buy...
If you spend less time on the phone, you should probably move up to speed.
Oh gee, thanks for the advice.
I am your mother, not one of your cheap whores, and you need to show me some respect.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from, whether online or on your TV. This is Morning at NTV, your one-way ticket to a very fantastic day. And of course, news all over the world talking about the success of Lupita Nyong'o, who won her first Oscar, and in that role as supporting actress and in the movie 12 Years a Slave. And of course, you can tell us what you think. Do you think she actually deserved the Oscar? And the guys that did earlier movies with her, people here like Bujingo, but share with us your thoughts and what you think about Lupita's win. Elsie Muha tells us, congratulations to @Lupita_Nyong'o. Your dreams are valid. And we also have another tweet from @123 Kasik John, and saying, I'm set for everyday life at Morning at NTV. Happy first month on air to you, Morning at NTV, and thank you so much for loving this. Yes, today we are making 1 month on air. And on our Facebook page, there is over 7,500 people that like the page. You too can also like our page. So go to Morning at NTV, like the page, invite your friends to like it, and tell us what you think about this show. It's actually 8,000 fans right now on the page. Thank you so much for loving the show. And make sure, if you don't have a TV in your office, tell your boss to try and buy it, because it's motivation to work hard. Seeing people who forecast those dreams for you in the morning is obviously very good for you. And coming up later on Everyday Life is something that most of us fear, maybe starting a business or managing it or running it, but it's definitely going to be something good for you, entrepreneurs or those in the making. But for now, let's head over to our traffic report. Good morning. Yes, and remember that you can be a traffic reporter. You can send the picture to 0-7-16730. That is 0-7-16730. Or you can WhatsApp. You can tweet it at Morning at NTV. Remember, the number that you can WhatsApp is to 0-7-16730. And we have some pictures coming in from Wandegea. This is James, who sends this picture at Wandegea, and this was about 10 minutes ago. That is Wandegea. We also have another picture coming in from Kajansi, Entebbe Road. Wow! Yes, that is Herbert from Kajansi on Entebbe Road. And another one coming in from Jinja. Wow! This one sent a message all the way from Jinja, and the traffic there very steady in Jinja. I guess not very many cars there, but at least a picture in Jinja. You too can also become a traffic reporter here at Chintu Road, opposite the Serena Hotel. The traffic is very steady. Make your way to office if you work, say, at the MTN building, Crescent Towers, or Parliament, or the President's office, or you're heading over to De Winton via the National Theatre. The traffic is very steady. Today, someone is born, and Mabel is standing by at the NTV studios to tell us your birthdays. Good morning, Mabel.
Happy birthday to you.
Indeed, we love celebrating, and here at Morning at NTV, we are celebrating 1 month. Yes, it's been 1 month since the show began. But people celebrating birthdays today include Beatrice Achola, who works with Orange Telecom in Uganda, and she lives somewhere in Kampala. Happy birthday to you, Beatrice. Semanda Julius, who studied from at Makerere University, he now works with the African Union Commission. Happy birthday to you too, Julius. And another Julius was born this day, Julius Muchunguzi, who is the assistant spokesperson at the Commonwealth Secretariat. He also studied at Makerere University. Well, we wish you the best of the day. Now on to our Facebook page, which is behind me. We actually have 8,200 people who like our page, so please go and like our page. You can see a picture of the guest whom we shall have in everyday life. We have a picture of Honorable Peter Ogwang, who was hosted earlier. And we also have a picture of Lupita Nyong'o, who is the talk of the continent after becoming the first black African to win an Oscar. Moving on to some of your messages this morning, we have Naturinda Gabriel, who is saying Honorable Gwang should stop fooling youth, especially with students. We seem to have lost that message there. And moving on to some other messages here. Okay. Morning at NTV makes my day. Long live NTV. We have Andrew Mwanga, who says morning at NTV is a show that hosts valuable Brian's, I think he means valuable brains. And Peter says here, shame upon you, Ogwang. The people of the East who voted you in are disappointed in you. And Sam Williams says here, like that show with all my life, thank you. Xavier Alinda says, good morning. You always make my morning friends. Emmanuel says, the whites are really crazy. And someone says, Chris here says, good morning, NTV. Thank you for what you are doing. We shall now return to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop for the HTC moment.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect, how you browse, how you share, and how you interact with the world around you. Down to the last detail, you inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
And it's exactly 14 minutes after 8 o'clock, coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel. This is your HTC moment, and I'm holding the HTC One Max. Very good phone, very beautiful phone, very sleek. I'm still learning some of the things. It's a very complicated phone, by the way. But last week, I featured the camera on the HTC phone. One, it has a super panoramic view where you can take a picture at 360 degrees. You can also do a dual screen. Both the front camera and the back camera will work, and you'll both appear in the photo. So Sijui selfies, you can still pose and the thing still takes on both sides. And if you are a lover of video, it records even full HD. Can you imagine that? So that's the camera for the HTC One Max. Now I also discovered another thing about this phone. If you have a TV, you can set this phone as a remote control for your TV. Isn't that awesome? No one touches your TV unless you're at home with your HTC. This can become your remote control. So go check out the HTC, some of the HTC features. HTC One Max, which actually just won the best smartphone at the World Mobile Conference 2014. So this is the best smartphone, ladies and gentlemen, in the world. And you know that everyday life is powered by HTC. Quietly brilliant. And you might ask me, how can I win one? Like my friend in Chitintale, Wanita, who is saying, Banange, that phone is very nice. I have a very small HTC phone. Well, Wanita, you can win the HTC Desire 300. And all you have to do is answer any of the following, actually answer all the 4 questions, and you can be proud to win this phone. What is the unique function on the camera of the HTC One Max? That's our first question. Question number 2, how many months has NTV been on, Morning at NTV been on air? Question number 3, given you 4 topics discussed during the big story last week, and where is the HTC hub located in Uganda? Those questions should be answered in the correct order and, of course, accurately. And you can send those answers and your name to 6565. Tomorrow, we'll be drawing our winners. Let me do this one more time. And the questions that we're asking: what is the unique function on the camera of the HTC One Max? Question number 2: how many months has Morning at NTV been on air? And question number 3: give any 4 topics discussed during the big story last week. And question number 4: where is the HTC hub located in Kampala? Good luck. Coming up, Everyday Life, focusing on the power that you have if you are dreaming of starting a business, why some businesses fail, and we're going to look today on the power of entrepreneurship, how you can keep it alive. Good morning.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect, how you browse, how you share, and how you interact with the world around you. Down to the last detail, you inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
It's 18 minutes after 8 o'clock, and this morning on Everyday Life, we are going to look at entrepreneurship. It's been said that most businesses in Uganda will start up very well, but after a year or two, they never seem to see their third birthdays. What happens? How do you know you are ready to be an entrepreneur? That's what we'll be focusing on Everyday Life, powered by HTC, Quietly Brilliant. Before we get into the discussion, let's take a look at the profile of our guest this morning. Doctor, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for tolerating the traffic and coming here on time. You're the CEO of Goody Leisure Farm. What is it about?
Goody Leisure Farm is a social enterprise. We are using farming as a platform to cultivate humanity. We do this by helping our employees during the time they are at our farm, which is a maximum of 3 years. They think of starting their own businesses and employing other people.
It's a real farm?
It's a real farm with fish, with chicken, with vegetables, with pigs. Then we also share wealth. Whatever we do at the farm, we try to make sure we get other people to do the same in organized groups. We give them seed capital, monitor them for growth for 5 years.
You do all this work, with people. And by the time they get out, they are ready to start their own thing.
Yes, we have had 6 graduates so far.
Wow. How do you know that you're ready to set up your business? Because some of us, I wake up and I dream. Say, I want to start, say, a phone company, a phone shop. And I want to go and let me go to Dubai and just get 5 million shillings. I'll buy this, much, and I'll come and sell it. How do you know, for example, that the people you're graduating are ready to start their own things?
I think it's a combination of issues. I think the most important thing is to see that there is a problem that you want to solve. If you are solving a problem, it's business. There must be a problem. Then you also have to be prepared enough to learn something about the solution to the problem. You must have some adequate information about it. What is this that I can do to solve a problem? Then you need some basic resources to start with.
Right.
But at times that resource can just be your brain, putting your head together to think through this problem. I can give you a vivid example. I used to see local chicken coming from the north. During the war, this chicken reduced. I used to live near Kawempe. And I thought that is a business opportunity. There is somebody who is used to local chicken and they'll not be able to get it because of the war. I said, let me start rearing local chicken. And I just went to somebody's farm, bought 6 chickens at 60,000. I had more money, but I thought, let me test out this model. They start laying. They were not producing very fast. So I took the eggs for hatching.
Artificial hatching.
Yes, artificial hatching. And within no time, I had over 30,000 local chicken.
You're kidding.
Yeah, but it just started because I saw the need. I saw the problem.
And that's now that's the problem. Why do we fail to identify problems? Because yes, you identified the need for chicken, and that's something I could never have thought about. During the war, probably just thinking, oh my gosh, the people are not safe, and that's the only talk going on. But you saw a need out of that. Why are people so blinded? Why don't we ever see those needs?
But I think also this need to solve a problem comes from an internal motivation that you have. I had the motivation of creating employment for young people. And I could not create employment in my career where I was working. I was a university don for 18 years. I'm a doctor of ICT. It's difficult to create employment within that system. I wanted to create employment in a system that I can control. So for me, having a farm, having chicken was an easy option for me.
Right.
So there is that internal motivation that you also need that helps you to identify how you will solve what you want to solve in your own life as a person.
Oh, so it's not just the needs of others. You must also first
meet your own needs as well. As a person, what is it that you want to do in your life? And that is what will keep you motivated to carry on no matter what.
Right. Most Ugandans will start a business. We're very passionate in the first year. We have goals and dreams and we'll set up a very nice office or chicken. Everything is going well. Second year, things start to fall apart. What happens to that? Where do the dreams go?
What I think, like any business is not just a game. Business is serious, you must research it. So I think at times we don't do enough research. Then we tell lies to ourselves and assume that things are going to be okay in the first year. Once they are not okay, you get disappointed. Then most people who are not entrepreneurs, that is the time for them to quit.
Yeah.
But for us who are entrepreneurs, you persist. Even when you hit a snag, you persist.
Right.
I can give you my own example. After the local chicken, I was supplying my local chicken in Uchumi. I noticed that the price of my local chicken was more or less the same as the price of broilers. Then I said, I'm not making the right decision. After spending 6 months taking care of chicken, and somebody spent 6 weeks, and we are almost getting the same money, I said, let me go into broilers. I rushed into broilers. I thought the experience I had with local chicken was good enough. I go into broilers. I start stocking a lot of broilers. I was selling 500 broilers per day, which was very good business. But I had not tied all the strings around the broilers. I didn't work so well on the feed issue. I thought everything would be fine. So down the road, I'm making very good business. I have very good orders. My chicken starts dying. Within 1 month, I had 22,000 chicken and I had no chicken at all. I lost 139 million just in one go. And that is a lot of shock for any business person.
That's too much. Shock.
That's too much. Anybody should think that now I should have said no to chicken completely. But
if I were you, I would have quit.
You can't do that.
130 million shillings
yes,
gone. Just
if you are a business person, you cannot quit. But you study your own failure. Your own failure becomes a lesson. So I decided to look at where did I go wrong. The issue was on feed. And I wasn't in control of the feed I was buying. So I've studied this system. Now I'm into broilers, which is a hybrid. It can resist the different conditions that we have, like our local chicken. But at the same time, it grows very fast. It lays eggs. I'm happy now, and I'm now moving.
Doctor, you know, you did not just lose 500,000 or 5 million. You lost 100 million. And we never see, even people who have lost money that is, you know, of course, less than that, never bounce back. For you, what is the secret? Okay, yes, you studied and then brought on a new thing. Is there a particular thing that helped you overcome that?
I think it's the attitude. My attitude is that I should take that as a lesson. Everybody pays to study. Even when you go to study your degree, your diploma, you pay.
Yes.
I thought that was the greatest lesson that I had in business. I'd never made that kind of loss in my life. You know, academic life, you rarely get losses. You do your work, you do your teaching, you get your salary, you do your consultancy, you get your money.
And that's it.
Yeah, but this was the biggest loss of my life, and I think it was the most expensive lesson that I've learned in my life. Making sure that you tie all the different loose ends of your business, doing research, your research better. I hadn't done my research well, and I think there are people out there who go into business because their friend is doing business without knowing the nitty-gritty of this business. Yeah, it is the best lesson I could learn.
It's a bandwagon effect.
Yeah.
Well, if you're just joining us, we're talking about how you know that you're ready for, to set up your own business. Send your questions to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and of course you can tweet us at Morning at NTV, and a text to 6565. Someone also talked about, and I want to know how true this is, because I also have my own business, and I was quite challenged when I read this. That if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, there is no such thing as work-life balance. That most people, most people will spend more time at their business, not family. There's no balancing. You can't balance it. One of them has to take more time, and it's usually the business that you're setting up. How true is this?
I think it will depend on the individual and how much you invest in your business. I am not an agriculturalist. I want to use my own example because that's what I know best. I'm not an agriculturalist. You assemble the right team and you set parameters that you will measure when that team performs and when it doesn't perform, and they should know that beforehand.
Right.
That relieves you of your time, so your job becomes supervisory. But if you want to micromanage everything, you are the one counting the needles, you are the one weighing the salt, I think that takes away a lot of your time and you'll never have time for your family. But again, also involving family in your business. I involve my family in my business. My children come with me. We immunize the chicken together. We feed the chicken together. We clean the place together. So that's also quality time. I'm passing on skills to my children to know how to manage, to know how to relate with people, because we have people who support us. So I think it depends on the individual, how prepared you are for your business. But I don't think there's anyone who is going to do everything in their business. You must have a team of people that do the business, and especially people who can do it better than you.
And that brings me to my next question, where you're giving up control of something that you have dreamed and you want to make it successful. Will people understand exactly what your dream is?
You must communicate your dream. In writing, in the meetings that you have, you must communicate your dream. Everybody must know what is expected of you. I'm going to give you my own example again. I do vegetables. It's one of my businesses, one of my big businesses.
Right.
But everybody knows that when we are growing vegetables, they must grow in a line, because our farm is a farm for tourism. People must come and look at the vegetables looking beautiful. And when you grow in the line, then in the middle of the line, you must put manure. And everybody knows if you don't do that, you will not be appreciated for not doing it.
Right.
So you set these guidelines before somebody makes the mistake. So someone will be able to evaluate themselves, and that's what I'm teaching my staff, to evaluate yourself and say, today I never did the right thing, because I knew I was expected to do A, B, C, D. And to me, I think when you set that before time, it saves you a lot of time.
I want to ask you, what are some of the things that we should think about, seeing the business ahead? You talked about being able to be persistent, make your research. What other things have, especially Ugandan entrepreneurs, failed to sort out to make sure that their businesses grow beyond the expected lifespan, which we say 1 to 2 years?
I think what I have learned with time, business is something which is dynamic, and the good news is that we have resources out there, especially open source resources where you can get information for free. We have got to be students all the time. Be a student, learn how to solve problems, learn how to innovate, because every time there are people bringing in new information that's supposed to help your business. So it's good to be conservative, but be conservative with the reason. We have to aim to be more efficient, more effective, and that means we have to keep learning. I have found that being in agriculture, I have to be on the internet all the time, learning like every person is learning. For example, now, if I look at my fish business, I've been doing fish since 2002. I started with clarias and tilapia in the same pond. It was a little bit exciting for me. But then when it came to harvesting, the clarias had dug so deep in the pond, so we almost destroyed that pond. Then I said, okay, now I away with the clarias, let me go into tilapia alone. Now tilapia alone started multiplying too much, that became so crowded, and I got small fish, and not so many people want to take small fish. Now I had to keep learning from other farmers and learning from the internet that I can now do sex reversal.
What's that?
So that you have only one sex of fish. And
in one pond?
In one pond. So I went to SANS, which has the license to do that, so they gave me one sex. So now I know I'm rearing only male fish. They're not going to multiply. Yeah, now I was excited about that whole fish thing. Then later
You're getting me excited about fish.
Yeah, you need to be excited about fish. It's white meat, it's nice. Now, as I'm excited about that fish, I find out that there are other people doing aquaponics. I can have fish, I can have vegetables at the same time. Now that's where I'm going. So you can't sit and relax and say, I'm now there. You have to continuously educate yourself. You can do that through the different fora that we go to, meetings, conferences, but also use the internet. Get time to do some reading.
Right. In the absence of capital, because we are always waiting for capital, if I don't have this amount, I can't start this business without, say, 50 million or 500,000, I can't start. What do you do yet you want to start? And most of the time, so if you don't have money, you procrastinate, you keep postponing. Yet, the dream also, you're getting tired of it. Before you know it, someone else is taking that particular thing that you've been wanting to start. What do? You want to start, but you don't have enough capital.
I don't know what people would mean by capital. I think capital is you. If you have yourself, you have your mind, I think you have the capital. You can start any business with any amount of money. I told you I started buying chicken with 60,000. 60,000 is little money.
It's very little
But it means I could also start it with 10,000. I could buy younger chicks and I help them to grow. If I look at my vegetable business, I started it with 1,000 shillings. Not that I didn't have money, but I wanted to prove a point to my staff. I just got seeds from a friend at 1,000, seeds of dodo, and I started planting. Within 3 weeks, I am harvesting. Then I left some to grow their own seeds. Then I started planting. I think for me, my advice would be, if you think of business, you are comfortable doing that business, you are proud of doing that business, you have a self-motivation, start with whatever little that you have. No one stops you from starting at any scale. There is no one going to support you when you have nothing. Even the bank will never give you money when you have no money. No. Start with something, show what you have done, then you can start looking for money.
Right.
Yes. Start with what you have. And even if it means going to borrow those seeds, borrow the seeds. If it means hiring somebody's land and say, I'm going to pay you after harvest, do that.
Some people are not very receptive, doctor. You're going to use my land to make your own money. That's impossible.
Isn't that what we think? And that is something I've also learned. Let me not assume answers for people. Try 20 of them. Maybe one will accept.
This morning is very challenging because, I also have my own business and sometimes it's quite hard to get started, especially on a couple of things that you've been postponing. Well, when do you know you're ready to start your own business? That's what we are looking at this morning, and you can send those comments to morning at NTV. My internet seems to have taken a break, so I'm trying to get it started and get some of your comments. Remember, you can also tweet us at morning at NTV, and feel free to send the SMS to 6565. Well, doctor, any last words for people who want to get started? The golden rules for entrepreneurs.
Thank you. I want to encourage all those who want to get started that it's a good thing to do business. I think business is one of those ways where you can contribute towards making the world a better place in your lifetime. And that should be a very good motivation for you to start. You want to leave a legacy. You don't want to live, die, eat, produce, and live.
Yes,
you
sir,
want to
that
have
person
left
was once here.
something. You want to have created employment. You want to have increased wealth. That is already a motivation for you. Start now. Start with what you have.
Right. I read a couple of things here, and of course, Doctor, you'll help me if I'm really lying to the viewers. And someone said, need to be able to turn every obstacle into an asset. Every single obstacle, you need to turn it into an asset. All you need to know about marketing is exactly 30 words. Marketing is when you strip everything away, and you need to figure out who you want to sell to. Then you determine what it is that will get them to buy whatever you're selling. If you insist on doing market research anyway, here's the question you need to ask. Show potential customers a prototype or describe the service you are thinking of offering. Then say, is this something you would buy? If the answer is yes, ask for the order there and then. And I like what you said. You need to start something. We can't just say, can we just hire you without seeing a sample of what you do? She started with only 60,000 shillings, and now her business has more than 200 million, right?
No.
Well, you lost 100 million at one point. I think
it's more than that.
It's more than 200 million. You too can get started today, even with 10,000 shillings. We've seen people start from pancakes. Macarena is one example here. He started with a stall at his home of pancakes, and now this man has a whole franchise of pancakes and is feeding this city. Well, I hope today was just a sneak peek into what you can do as an entrepreneur who is waiting to start, or you've already started and you want to keep that business standing. Doctor, I will definitely call you. I want to come and check out the aquaponics as and when it starts, and also into the fish farming. We'll definitely pay you a visit and show our viewers how to be successful at entrepreneurship. Isma is standing by with the sports. Isma, away from Arsenal being taken down by Stoke City, what do we have this morning?
Good morning. Joy Vegas walked into Emperor's Palace playing with one of the songs from Good Life or Good Day, and then he didn't last that long. We'll be talking about why Joy Vegas lost. We'll also discuss, like Brian hinted, Arsenal were beaten at Stoke City. That meant that Liverpool moved into second. Also, there was a Madrid derby and Juventus winning at AC Milan. All that and more when we get back to the sport.
Isma, when we come back, I don't want you to talk about Arsenal. I think we'll talk about other teams. Well, it's only 20 minutes on to 9 o'clock. Stay with us. Good morning.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC. Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing. Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solano Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apuena, returns to a beautiful, mysterious woman. Past.
Stella, me diz a verdade, seja ela qual for.
And her destiny is to fulfill the curse.
Acredita em mim, eu não queria amar o branco que a nossa gente marcou pra morrer.
Destiny River.
Me? Oh, you give me way too much credit.
You know what? You got what you want. But what shocks me is that you don't care at all about Hakim and Lulu.
What was that? That was me trying to save the two of us. At the expense of someone's career? A man's got to do what a man's got to do to survive. All I need is answers.
How about you stay away from my reporters and stay away from my newspaper?
Hakim could be Mabel's son, but that's yet to be verified.
But
where do you get all these stories from? I'm a journalist, but what anyway? But what I don't buy.
If you spend less time on the phone, you should probably move up to speed.
Oh, gee, thanks for the advice.
I am your mother, not one of your cheap whores, and you need to show me some respect.
She was molested when she was 6 by someone she trusted.
The doctors finally walked into the door. They basically were telling me that she had a 5% chance of living.
I couldn't understand how somebody that tells you they loved you, that held you as a child, could abuse you.
Tommy Scott grew up among gang violence, drugs, and poverty in the projects of South Central Los Angeles.
I felt not normal, not good. I wasn't lovable.
As a teen, Melissa discovered that drinking gave some relief.
Tommy is free today and continues to tell people that it was Jesus who changed his life.
The time I spent in prison, I spent putting my ideas together on, how I was going to come back and make it all right.
And I realized my purpose, that I was created to reflect the glory of God.
Duke now realizes why God kept him alive.
These were real people facing desperate situations, just like you and me. Jesus died to set you free, and He can give you a new heart.
16 minutes on to 9 o'clock, and this morning it's very, very hot. It's really hot. And I wish I would swim this morning. Oh, it's just too much. The sun is really burning.
Sort of a brilliant idea. Why don't we do the sports segment like tomorrow at the pool?
At
so
the
we
pool?
can show people how it's done.
Like
we can do an Ian Thorpe or something.
Isma.
I've always thought that to be a good swimmer you need to be about 6 foot, and you're right around 4.
I am 5'2", please.
Okay. Your feet should also be somewhere around size 13, like Michael Phelps, the greatest Olympian.
Really?
You've got to be around.
Mine is 11.
Because you need to displace a certain amount of water, and the longer your feet, the easier to swim. The longer your shoulder, you just look at your physics. It works like the best swimmers are the tallest people. Now you can imagine Mabel.
Really?
Yeah. But probably watching Mabel in a bikini at 8:30 a.m. would be very bad.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, our producer Charles should be thinking about this. Maybe tomorrow we just, but you guys wait till I get 6-pack, and we can. All right, this morning, of course, a weekend of disappointment, but don't talk about Arsenal, by the way. But Joseph, losing in the first round, that was so disappointing. How?
Extremely disappointing, especially for many of us who waited to watch the fight for about 1.5 hours until it came on TV around 11:45 p.m. on Saturday night, and then Jiggers, of course, fighting that World Boxing Council belt championship there. Eventually got off to a very good start for me. In the first 1 minute, actually, had Rhino Liebenberg onto the ropes in the first minute, but after that, he didn't manage to finish off with the advantage. And I've always thought in boxing fights, in fights like this, you've got to take your advantage. And the time when Lubega was on top, which was barely for me 30 seconds inside the first minute, and had his opponent on the ropes, he didn't take the advantage. And after that, when Rhino Libenda came back to punch him, on 2 occasions was on the floor. Within 2 minutes and 56 seconds, they had to call the fight off, and it disappointing finish for me. And I could almost tell from his face, at the end of the day, I could almost tell on his face, he looked extremely disappointed. He looked like a person who walked into the ring having not prepared, Lubega, because many times when you're prepared for a moment like this, for the months you have, you want to fight better than this. Now Lubega probably hoped for better when he went into that ring.
Was he surprised? Because I know, for example, like Golora and Titus, I'm sure Titus was so shocked that even while he was on the floor, he couldn't believe that this guy had punched his lights out. But
he looked emotionless. You could barely tell what had happened to him, Lubega, in that moment when he had lost. He just looked
like
up
he was
in the
in trance.
Maybe the discollocation. You remember that word, discollocation?
I was really disappointed.
Yeah, but probably much more disappointed than you were, because I'm not because Lubega is my friend, but I always believe that Ugandans who represent us out there deserve every kind of support and prayer we can, especially when they are raising the Ugandan flag. They do this for themselves financially, but they do that for all of us. The more publicity Uganda gets, the better. It's probably easier to market Uganda that one. When you see the Ugandan flag, Lubega comes out, a Good Life song plays, you're thinking, okay, South Africa is very Ugandan. For example, in the times when Kasimoma was at the top and they was singing the Uganda national anthem, Juliana Kanyama was there singing, you felt very Ugandan with the black, yellow, red being raised and all these people in his corner. It's very disappointing, I think, Lubega, in the end. He's got to look at this as a bad day at the office and get back up, because you don't lose fights inside the first round. You just don't do that.
Okay, moving on to Zambia. We drew with, KCCA drew. I was thinking of the national team, but actually KCCA drew with Nkana. Are they now favorites? I imagine this puts them in a good position.
I think they should be feeling like favorites. And one of the things I think you can take out of games like this, for me, is the mental toughness. KCCA went a goal down. They came back. Brian Majuega. They went a goal down a second time. Tony Odu, this time scoring. And they went a man down. They considered a penalty. Salim Janamal, for the 3rd occasion in as many matches, again saved another one, when they were down to 10 men after Tom Maseko had been sent off. So I think they can take a lot out of this result. No one expected them to go there and win. Probably Simba went away from home trying to score a goal, one of them, because every team that plays away from home wants an away goal. They got that. They didn't even get only one away goal, they got two. Now, in that kind of situation, KCCA should be feeling favorites, because now in 5 days' time, they do host Nkana here at Nambole. They should be feeling confident. If they get the same number of fans probably they got in the previous round against El Merrick, and I expect them to get much more, because about 2,000 in the game against El Merrick. If they get 4,000 or probably 5,000, that would be very good for them. And now all the things that were going wrong for them before they traveled to Zambia seem to be coming into place. After an outcry from some of us and criticizing FUFA for having to call Brian Majuega, Ivan Intega, Antonio Du, FUFA backed down and they're letting the KCC players stay with KCC. So they want to be in Zambia.
And you know what? Based on that performance, I think these guys should stay in Zambia.
Why?
Brian and Anthony, they should stay. I think.
Yeah, they to play for Uganda, but the thing is that the KCC look at it as something that would leave them fatigued. If they have to play on Wednesday and then have to come here and play on Saturday, it would be a bad thing for them, I think, for their bodies. So FUFA have decided to let them go back to KCC, which is a good thing. I don't think they're even going to get a starting place for Uganda. Right now, they are not among the 14 players that Mitchell will be looking at. So probably they are bigger for KCC than they would be for Uganda on Wednesday.
Well, very, very good stuff there for this guy is definitely on fire. He's definitely on fire. Congratulations to KCC, and I hope that when they come here, they're playing Saturday. We'll all go and support them, not just as KCCA fans, but as Ugandan fans. Now, moving on to international sport, Man City, I believe, one of the most awesome teams in England right now, taking the Capital One Cup.
Yeah, I think they were meant to dig deep for this one. They must have expected a tougher contest, especially in the manner in which they lost to Wigan the last year's FA Cup final. To come from a goal down, and the kind of goals they scored, Oh my,
beautiful.
They were beautiful.
Nasri's.
Especially Nasri's goal, and then for me the equalizer first, Yaya Toure, who I think is the most important player for this team. And I've not seen probably an African player since Didier Drogba, Samuel Eto'o at some point at Barcelona, have this kind of importance for their team in Europe. But this is a trophy that Man City, for me, would have kicked themselves about if they hadn't won this, especially with the West Sunderland side. They were more physical. They were the ones who were doing the chasing. They were the ones who were pushing Man City back. And for the entire first half, I was very disappointed in the way Man City had set up, because they were barely in there. They were not forcing the game. They were waiting for Sana to come at them and probably hit them on the counter, which is not something you do in a final. And eventually, because of the quality they have, the collective spirit of Sunderland could not overcome the class of Man City. They took the lead, but then after that, despite Man City for me not playing that well on the day yesterday, they still came back and scored. Yaya Toure, he has done this again and again. Just the other week he won them a game against Stoke City. He's the one who scored the goal that won Man City the FA Cup a few years ago against Stoke in the final at Wembley. And probably is the difference in the big games. And actually, when he did score his goal, the equalizer, which was for me the most important, the commentator did say, I think it's John Champion, he did say, he has now a hat-trick at Wembley because he scored on 3 occasions whenever Man City have been to finals. So I think a very, very, very big result for Man City.
A big boost for their title race too, right?
I think it should be, because many of the Man City players in the aftermath of the game were all giving interviews and talk about how they need to win all the trophies they are playing in the Premier League, the FA Cup where they play Wigan over the weekend in the quarterfinals, and they still think they can knock out Barcelona if they go to the Camp Nou and win by 3 goals. I don't believe them in that. But I think the thing about winning this is that everyone believes they can go on and win more.
Yes.
And that's what Pellegrini has said the entire season, that they need to win, they need to compete in every trophy. Now they're not only competing, they've taken one. Now this should take away the pressure, because I can imagine the amount of pressure Pellegrini would have been under had they not won yesterday.
Yes.
With the title race, with the league title to fight for in the Premier League. So I think it's a good thing. Now they go in with a lot more optimism. The pressure of winning a first trophy is gone. Now Man City can go in and thinking, okay,
at least
we have to go and just win our games and we'll be champions again in the league.
Okay, moving on. Sadly, Arsenal lost, unfortunately, due to that handball, which turned into a penalty against Stoke. But it was Liverpool beat Southampton, and I thought Southampton were really good, at least in the first half. Chelsea also went on to win. I mean, how bad could it be?
How bad could it be for Arsenal?
No,
the disappointment for Arsenal. You guys have to let me work. I think the disappointment for Arsenal should be the performance. For me, it's not the result. Teams lose games. It's okay to lose a game. Every team does lose a game. Now the performance is the disappointment. Arsenal barely got a look in at Stoke. Actually, over the 90 minutes, they had 2 shots on target in 90 minutes of football.
Right.
Actually, all I saw from Arsenal on the day, they probably picked David Moyes and sat him on the bench, because they played exactly the way like Man United played at Olympiacos last week.
Yes.
That's how Arsenal were. Extremely blunt, extremely slow. There was something that just wasn't there. Stoke were more physical. You could be disappointed about conceding from a penalty.
Yes, that was
but
sad.
Thereafter, what is the response from Arsenal? There was none.
Right.
There was none.
How many minutes were left? Like 20?
Those should be enough. Those should be enough. Teams that win the league win games
but
where they don't
we've
deserve.
scored 5 goals before, 5 in like 10 minutes. So I also, just go on.
For me, the disappointment was the performance.
Okay, Southampton, Liverpool.
So Liverpool.
And
Southampton, Liverpool. Let's move on.
I've got to think that we've not discussed Liverpool as title contenders, but this is the kind of result that will get Liverpool fans believing.
Right.
First of all, in Europe, only one team has outscored Liverpool in the top 5 leagues, and that's Barcelona. And that's because they beat Almeria yesterday by 4 goals. So Barcelona have scored 74. Liverpool have scored 73.
Wow.
They did play very well in the first half, but still got that 1 goal from Luis Suarez, the kind of chance that falls to the best strikers. And when he buries that, Liverpool start believing, but they still had to do a lot of defending. Then the second half, when they start to play, Raheem Sterling comes on and gets a goal. And thereafter, for me, it's a foregone conclusion. And this is a team that they don't beat so often. I told you on Friday that Southampton is the only team that has won at Anfield this season. So this is the kind of result that will get Liverpool fans believing. And it's not only because they are second in the league title, on the table with about 10 games to play. For me, when you have Luis Suarez and Daniel Sturridge on the pitch, when you have Ronaldo, when you have Messi, when you have Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you have a chance to win every game in football. you have a very good chance to win every game. Now, if Liverpool keep scoring, and they've outscored everyone in the Premiership, including Man City, 73, if they could go probably and win 6 of their next 10 or 7 of their next 10, why not think about this league title? They haven't won it since 1990. But the kind of position they are now, everyone will start looking at Liverpool and saying, okay, these guys are right here in the conversation. It's about 2-3 games to play.
Well, a friend of mine that supports Liverpool, Ben Muine there, I'm sure he's very optimistic now. No ground was lost or gained in Spain. Atletico drawing at Madrid, and of course Barcelona winning. Are we back to square one in the title race?
I think we should be, because it's now just 1 point between Real Madrid and Barcelona, the two teams that everyone expects to fight for the title. Regardless of what Atletico have done throughout the season, no one thinks they'll get very close, because they are still behind. They're on 61, Barcelona now on 63, and then Madrid on 64. I thought Madrid took a lot out of this game. They could. I was seeing an interview of Sergio Ramos in the aftermath of the game, the Madrid defender, and saying they should have won the game. They deserve to score at least 1 or 2 more. And I kept on feeling Ramos probably has got to be more respectful, because I don't think Madrid did enough to win the game. For me, I don't think they did. They took the lead. Atletico came back from 2 goals down through Koke and Gabi. Gabi scored, for me, one of the best goals over the weekend. And then Madrid were fighting back after that. Of course, when you have a player as good as Ronaldo, like I said of Suarez, you have a chance to win every game. We'll probably score in every game. Then Ronaldo, because he's been that kind of zone, scores his 37th of the season, and then Madrid get the point. I think they should be relieved they got a point at the Vicente Calderón. Not many teams get points here. And knowing, if there's something they call the law of averages in football, is that Madrid had won here in their previous game in the King's Cup. They had lost in the league at the Santiago Bernabéu to Atletico. But the manner in which Atletico played at home, Real Madrid should be pleased with the point, because that kept them top of the league, knowing that Barcelona already is going to beat Almeria. For me, it's a very important point for Madrid, who, if the 3 teams were tied and they went into a table over the 3 teams for a head-to-head, Madrid wouldn't have a chance. Look at it this way. They lost to Atletico at home. They drew here. They've lost to Barcelona. And so Madrid would basically, for me, have no chance if they were tied. So they should be relieved that they are it's still a point ahead after not playing very well for me at the Vicente Calderón.
Right. Well, a couple of minutes before we leave you, but of course you can join Isma and Lumansi later as they talk about also Italy and Bayern. Bayern!
Aren't you scared? Next week is Bayern hosting Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean they beat Schalke over the weekend. And
by 5 goals to 1.
They lost again, 5. Wasn't it during the week?
No, they are not losing any.
No, Schalke.
Schalke, they were beaten by Real Madrid by 6 goals to 1. So they've beaten 11. But for me, Bayern are playing for records now. They want to score more than 101 goals, which is a record in Germany. They should be looking at getting the most number of wins in a season. Last year they got 29. They should be looking at around 33 or 34. 32 out of the 34 matches. So everything seems to go right for Bayern. And Robben hat-trick here and so many things. So be very afraid next week.
A CNN feature that I watched, and they are focusing on the best in the business. And the first episode was about Bayern Munich, and they bring all these legends who they keep asking, did you think Bayern would be like this 7 years ago? And they're like, we've invested. They brought Ian Robben a couple of years ago. They brought in Ribery a couple of years ago, and now the club is getting the results right now. I don't know what is going to happen, but I'm very scared. I'm very scared. Well, a couple of you having some cynical comments on Facebook. AIDS in full is Arsenal is dying slowly. It's not funny, Vicente Del Bosque. And someone saying, Peter saying, Temufayo, there are many more chances to come. Remember, we're chasing 3 titles. That is definitely taking a lot of pressure on us. But Isma, Lumanse and Alan on Omumuli at 1:30 p.m. live on NTV and Sports Bar today, coming to you live from Club Silk, 10:30 p.m. Before we leave you, here is your African proverb. A fool speaks, a wise man listens.
Sure. You cannot only take advice from people who are as wise as you are, and sometimes you can only discover how foolish things said by people are until you listen to them.
Yeah.
Never.
True. No, I had never thought of it that way, that a wise person just listens.
Yeah.
I do know it's easier to talk than it is to listen.
Yeah.
You know.
Because for me, listening is the biggest attribute of communication. When you can listen, everything else is very easy. And how many good listeners do I know? Not many. Would I count myself among the good listeners?
No sports commentator can listen. Yeah, I've listened to some of your radio shows and they are chaotic. Yeah, you guys.
There is a lot of adrenaline going by.
So much. Well, that's your African proverb today. Go head over to our Facebook page or Twitter and tell us what you think about this African proverb. Also, if you want to comment or if you want us to feature a particular proverb, please do send it through. And now, of course, news coming in. Acacia is a no-go area. Truck failed in the middle of the road. Use other roads if you can. And of course, we got that message earlier but couldn't feature. Acacia, a truck that crashed in the middle of the road. Please use any alternative routes if you can. This morning, we want to say, first of all, we've made 1 month on air. And on Wednesday, we are going to celebrate this in a more fantastic way, you know. But of course, I want to thank our fans. Thank you so much for loving this show.
8,200.
8,200. Wow. Let's get more people on Twitter. Let's get 1,000. If we make 2,000 fans on Twitter, we'll do a party.
Yeah.
I hope Morris is listening.
Are you talking to management? Is that part of the budget? Is that part of the budget?
We want a party at Serena. All expenses will be paid apart from accommodation. But please go to those avenues and let us know what you think about the show. What should we change to make sure that your mornings are better? As usual, hasta la vista, baby. We are out.
NTV, turning on your world.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing. Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.